Hi, I'm Alice, and I'm 28 years old. I work with kids. Recently, my boyfriend Tom proposed to me, and now I'm visiting his parents for the first time. Tom went to a really good university and has a cool job. He's smart, and everyone at work likes him. I've always thought highly of him. His dad seemed happy about us getting married and even said they never had a daughter and that Tom's mom would be happy too. But when I looked at his mom, she seemed upset. She had a frown on her face, like she was mad about something. Then, out of nowhere, she asked me if it's true that I didn't finish high school. She seemed to think that because Tom is so successful, I shouldn't be good enough for him. I felt really surprised and hurt by what she said. I told her it was rude to talk to me like that, and Tom also defended me, saying that my education doesn't matter. Both Tom and his dad stood up for me against his mom. But my mother-in-law didn't seem to calm down. She kept saying that it's natural for a mom to worry about who her son is marrying, especially about their education and job. She even talked about how children inherit their mom's genes, so she wanted to make sure her future grandkids would be great too. It felt like she was really stuck on the idea that I wasn't good enough because I didn't finish high school. It's true that some people care a lot about education and parents want the best for their kids, but it made me sad to think I was being judged just because I didn't graduate. There's actually a reason for that. My dad died in a car accident when I was young, so my mom had a tough time raising me and my twin sister Emma. To help out, I started working after middle school. Now, I'm going to night school to finish my high school diploma. I'm working hard and saving money, and I might even go to college someday. Tom supports me in this, and he's even offered to help pay for my college. Tom understands where I come from, and he's really caring. That's one of the reasons I love him and want to marry him. But it seems like my mother-in-law doesn't like this idea. Tom is an only child, so we might end up living with his parents in the future. I'm a little worried about how things will go if my mother-in-law already seems so against me. A while after, I moved in with my future in-laws, just a month away from our wedding. As the big day got closer, I had to make more trips to the wedding place to double-check everything. I also had to book hotels for our out-of-town guests. With work, school, and wedding stuff, I was super busy. But my mother-in-law didn't seem happy with how I was handling everything. Today, I was getting ready to go to the venue and putting on makeup when she suddenly said, "Oh my, what are you wearing?" She saw my outfit and blurted it out. "I'm getting ready to go to the venue." "So I thought I'd dress up," I explained. I wasn't sure if she didn't like me dressing up for the venue or if she just wanted to criticize me. "Huh. You say you're going to the venue, but you're just dressing like that to attract men, aren't you?" "You're so careless," she accused. She just assumed I was meeting another man instead of going to the venue. I didn't know what to say. I told her I was meeting Tom at the venue and suggested she ask him if she had doubts. But she didn't listen and just kept thinking I was up to something. Then, out of nowhere, my mother-in-law messed up my carefully styled hair. "Hey, what are you doing, mother-in-law?" "I spent so much time getting ready. This is terrible," I exclaimed. My hair was a mess, and I couldn't go out like that. But instead of apologizing, my mother-in-law said, "There's no need to fix it. This hairstyle suits a high school dropout like you. You should wear your hair like this for the wedding." I was already late, so I quickly fixed my hair and rushed to the venue where Tom was waiting. When I got there, Tom saw my upset face and asked what happened. I was torn about whether to tell Tom what happened earlier, but I didn't want to bring up something so upsetting when we were supposed to be talking about the wedding plans. So, I decided not to tell him at that moment. Then, as the wedding day got closer, my mother-in-law came up with a surprising idea. She said, "Hey, Alice's mom lives far away, right? It must be hard for her to come and stay in a hotel. Why doesn't she stay with us?" Tom and I were both surprised by her suggestion. It would save money on hotels, and it could help our families bond better. Tom suggested I talk to my mom about it, so I did right away. My mom was really happy with the idea, and we decided that my twin sister Emma would come too. At first, I thought my mother-in-law was being nice, but I had no idea what she would do next. The day before the wedding, my mom and sister came to stay at my in-laws' house. Seeing them after such a long time made me really happy. My sister Emma and I are super close, so we decided to share a room for the night. Emma fell asleep quickly after having a few drinks. She's out like a light, I thought, knowing she wouldn't wake up easily. Just as I was about to go to sleep too, I heard the door to our room open. I was puzzled and then heard a buzzing noise, like someone was shaving something. Now you won't be able to go to the ceremony tomorrow, will you? No need for hair for a girl who didn't finish middle school, I heard my mother-in-law say. I was shocked and turned on the lights. Mother-in-law, what are you doing? I exclaimed. The person in the bed suddenly sat up, surprising my mother-in-law too. Huh. Mother-in-law, you're Alice, right? She said, confused. She had mistaken me for Emma. That's not my hair. We're twins, and our faces really look alike, I explained. It turned out that it wasn't me whose hair got shaved, it was my sister Emma. What? How could this happen? It was supposed to be Alice, my mother-in-law exclaimed, clearly shocked. But Emma was still fast asleep, probably due to the drinks she had. When she wakes up and realizes her hair is gone, she'll be really mad. Emma's not one to hold back her feelings, so I knew she'd be furious. I can't cover for you on this, mother-in-law, I told her, feeling guilty. She probably left the room feeling uneasy. The next morning, Emma saw herself in the mirror and freaked out. She was furious about being bald. Our mom was there too and couldn't help but cry in shock. Tom was disturbed too, saying, "This is terrible. Who would do such a thing?" So, I decided to tell everyone what happened the day before. I was curious to see how my mother-in-law would react this morning, but she wasn't around. My father-in-law said she went for an early walk and hadn't come back yet. I started worrying that she might have run away, so I told her relatives everything and went to look for her. About 30 minutes later, a relative called me to say they found her at a nearby convenience store, so my father-in-law went there. My mother-in-law came back home with a bunch of excuses, unaware that she was being searched for. When she got home, she immediately said, "I didn't do anything wrong. It's all Alice's fault." Alice used the clippers on her own and shaved Emma's hair while she was sleeping next to her. I told everyone, shocked that she was trying to blame me. Don't be absurd. I didn't do anything. Weren't you the one who entered the room yesterday? It's ridiculous that you're still lying about it, I snapped, feeling frustrated by her denial. But my mother-in-law kept denying her involvement. Then my father-in-law seemed to recall something. He went outside and returned with something in his hand. "Alice, is this the clipper?" he asked, holding it out to me. When I looked at the clipper, I instantly recognized it as the one my mother-in-law used last night to shave off Emma's hair. "That's it. That's the clipper." "But where did you find it?" I asked, feeling confused. "It seems this clipper originally belonged to your father-in-law. He's always been particular about his appearance and carried grooming tools with him. When we checked his car, the compartment where he kept his grooming stuff was messed up. And the clipper was gone," my husband explained. "I always keep my car keys in the bedroom. If there's brown hair in this clipper, then it's clear that your mom is the one responsible," my father-in-law added, beginning to take apart the clipper. Inside the clipper was unmistakably brown hair, which we knew belonged to Emma. She probably couldn't clean it properly because she had to rush out in the dark, my father-in-law concluded, displaying the hair to everyone. My mother-in-law sank to her knees. "Alice, it's all because of you. You tricked Tom, despite being uneducated and poor. I wanted you to leave Tom no matter what," she confessed. I felt sickened by my mother-in-law's selfish words, but the one who reacted the strongest was Emma, who had her hair shaved off. "I don't care what's happening to you," Emma said strongly. "What can we do now?" "I can't go to the wedding looking like this," she said, sounding upset. Emma's father-in-law heard her worry and called a friend who knew how to fix hair. They decided to bring a wig quickly. It would help Emma's hair look better for now. But they needed to find a solution for her mother-in-law too. 30 minutes later, the friend of Emma's father-in-law came with the wig, and Emma looked beautiful with her new hair. At first, they thought about cutting the mother-in-law's hair like they did with Emma, but they didn't feel right about it. Instead, they decided to reveal the mother-in-law's bad actions to everyone. At the wedding, there were some landlords who had been helping the mother-in-law's family for a long time. They were close to Emma's father-in-law, and hearing about what happened would surely affect the mother-in-law's parents. The landlords had been giving them a discount on their rent, but they might stop helping them once they found out about the mother-in-law's behavior. They might even make things worse by increasing the rent or making them leave the apartment. The mother-in-law's parents were poor and depended on this help. If they were forced to leave their apartment, they would have to stay with the mother-in-law. But from what Tom had said before, it seemed like the mother-in-law didn't get along with her parents and wouldn't want to take care of them. Living with her parents would be very difficult for the mother-in-law. "Please wait, I'll be in big trouble if you do that. I'm really sorry, it was my fault. I got carried away and did something wrong. I'm sorry, Emma. I'll compensate you for the damage, so please forgive me." The mother-in-law kept apologizing over and over again, bowing down on the floor. But even with all the apologies, Emma's hair couldn't be fixed. After talking it over, they decided that Emma's father-in-law and Tom would tell everyone about what the mother-in-law did. Emma had already agreed to this. The mother-in-law said she didn't want to go to the wedding and tried to escape, but Emma and Tom stopped her. When they got to the wedding place, relatives who had heard of the situation through messages looked very worried as they approached us. We showed everyone what the mother-in-law did wrong, and Emma bravely took off her wig, revealing her bald head. Everyone was shocked, especially the women, who couldn't believe it. For a woman, her hair is very important, so imagine the shock of suddenly having it shaved off. Seeing Emma like this made some people cry. Then, as expected, the landlord came to the mother-in-law and asked if it was true. At first, she tried to lie, but Emma's father-in-law encouraged her to tell the truth, and she finally admitted it. The landlord was furious and also scolded the mother-in-law. After that, the mother-in-law looked sad during the rest of the ceremony, which was unusual for her. The wedding went well, and we were happy to have the blessings of many people. But we couldn't stay in the same house with the mother-in-law anymore, so we decided to move to our own apartment and start a new life as a couple. The mother-in-law panicked when she realized we were leaving the house. She cried and begged us not to go, but we couldn't stay with her anymore. Even the father-in-law felt the same way. He told her he wanted a divorce and asked her to leave the house. The mother-in-law looked scared and held onto the father-in-law, pleading with him to reconsider. She said she had nowhere else to go because she didn't get along with her own parents. She was trembling and looked like she might collapse at any moment. But I didn't feel sorry for her, considering what she did to Emma. I never expected someone to shave my head while I was sleeping, mistaking me for Emma. The mother-in-law kept trying to convince us to let her stay, but the father-in-law contacted her parents, and eventually she had to leave the house. Now, she's living with her parents, even though they have a difficult personality, and she's struggling to take care of them all by herself. The mother-in-law kept calling us, wanting to start over, but we didn't want to live with her again, so we blocked her calls. Now, we're living happily with the father-in-law in his old house. We decided to renovate it together. The father-in-law built his dream study, Tom set up a display area for his model figures, and I installed a modern kitchen. We also made a room for the child we plan to have in the future. Now, the three of us are living comfortably. Emma's hair, which was shaved off before, has grown back short and looks great. Her friends love her new look. She jokes about what happened, which sometimes makes me feel conflicted. Emma visits us for sleepovers sometimes, and I always look forward to that. Even though there might be challenges ahead, I believe we can overcome them together.
The day my childhood ended, I was sitting in Mrs. Peterson's 7th grade class, solving quadratic equations. I remember because I'd just gotten the highest score on our math test, and she'd written, "Exceptional work, Bridget," in red ink across the top. That paper was still warm in my hands when the classroom door creaked open. "Bridget needs to come home," my mother announced, her voice clipped and final. "Family emergency." There was no emergency. Not really. Unless you counted my brother Adam's tuition bill as an emergency, which apparently my parents did. I'm Bridget, and that day, exactly 20 years ago, was when I learned that dreams have price tags, and some people's dreams matter more than others. The drive home was silent except for my mother's occasional sighs. When we pulled up to our farmhouse, I saw Dad's truck already parked in the yard. Adam's acceptance letter to private school lay spread on the kitchen table like a ransom note. "Sit down," Dad commanded, not looking at me. "Your mother and I have made a decision." "We're so proud of Adam," Mom added, her face glowing. "He's going to make something of himself." "But—" She hesitated, glancing at Dad. "But we can't afford both his tuition and keeping you in school," Dad finished. "Someone has to work the fields. Your mother can't do it alone anymore." "I can study after work," I offered quickly, my voice small. "I'll wake up early, stay up late." "Don't be selfish," Mom snapped. "This is about family duty. Adam needs this opportunity. He's going to be somebody important. As if on cue, Adam burst through the door, his varsity jacket gleaming. "Hey, Squirt," he grinned, ruffling my hair as he passed. "Did they tell you the good news? I got in." I forced a smile, even as my stomach churned. "Congratulations." That night, I heard him through the thin walls, talking on the phone. "Yeah, man, it's all set. Parents are pulling Bridget out to work. Sucks for her, but hey, destiny calls." His laughter echoed down the hallway, and something inside me hardened. I grabbed my math test from my backpack, Mrs. Peterson's praise still bright and red. By flashlight, I wrote on the back, "What they take, school fees, 2,300 year, my labor, 5-hour x 40 hours, week." A knock at my door made me jump. "Lights out," Mom called. "Early start tomorrow. Those fields won't plow themselves." I clicked off the flashlight but didn't sleep. Instead, I lay there calculating, planning. They thought they were burying my dreams in those fields. They didn't know they were planting seeds of revenge. The next morning, Mom shook me awake before sunrise. "Time to earn your keep," she said, dropping rough work clothes on my bed. "And don't give me that look. A good daughter sacrifices." At the breakfast table, Adam lounged in his pajamas, shoveling cereal into his mouth. "Better you than me in those fields, sis. I'd die of boredom." I said nothing, just watched him spill milk on his new school acceptance letter. Mom rushed to wipe it up, cooing about how careful he needed to be with important documents. That afternoon, as I pulled weeds under the merciless sun, my old friend Quinn from down the road passed by the fence. She stopped, schoolbooks clutched to her chest. "Bridget, why aren't you in class?" "Family duty," I echoed Mom's words, but they tasted like poison. "But you're the smartest person I know," Quinn protested. "Mrs. Peterson was asking about you." I straightened up, my back screaming in protest. "Tell her." I paused, watching Adam's car kick up dust as he drove past, probably heading to another party. "Tell her I'm learning different kinds of equations now, like how much childhood costs, how much freedom's worth." Quinn's eyes widened, but she nodded like she understood. Maybe she did. In our town, she wouldn't be the first girl whose dreams were sacrificed for a brother's destiny. That night, I added to my ledger by candlelight. Day 1, 10 hours labor, value, $50, dreams delayed, priceless. One day, I promised myself, watching Adam's headlights sweep across my ceiling as he returned home, drunk at midnight, they'll all learn exactly what they took from me and what it's going to cost them. 6 months into my new life as a field hand, I developed a routine. Work from dawn to dusk, then slip out my window at midnight to meet Jacoby, the retired lawyer who lived on the edge of town. He'd caught me trying to steal books from his porch one night and, instead of calling the police, offered to teach me. "The law," he'd say, spreading textbooks across his kitchen table, "is about justice. But justice isn't always what's legal." His eyes would twinkle as he quizzed me on contracts, torts, and constitutional rights. One night, he handed me a thick envelope. "Scholarship exam next month. Already registered you." My heart leaped, then plummeted. "They'll never let me go." "They don't need to know, not until you've won it." For weeks, I studied during my lunch breaks, hiding books under hay bales. Mom noticed the dark circles under my eyes but attributed them to honest labor. "Working hard makes a woman strong," she'd say, serving Adam another helping of dinner while I dozed over my empty plate. The morning of the exam, I told them I was helping at the church bake sale. Instead, I caught a ride with Jacoby to the testing center 2 towns over. My hands trembled as I filled in the bubbles, but my mind was sharp. "You're going to ace it," Jacoby said on the drive back. "I've never seen anyone with your determination." We pulled up to my house, and my stomach dropped. Dad's truck was in the driveway. He never came home this early. "Bridget Ross!" Mom's voice cut through the air as I stepped out of Jacoby's car. "Get inside, now." Dad stood in the kitchen, holding a crumpled paper. The church secretary had called, wondering where I was. Who is this man? Dad demanded, pointing at Jacoby through the window. What were you really doing? Taking a test, I said, straightening my spine. A scholarship exam. The slap came fast, my mother's ring leaving a welt on my cheek. Ungrateful child, after everything we've sacrificed. Everything you've sacrificed? The words burst out before I could stop them. I'm the one working like a slave while Adam parties away his tuition money. Don't you dare speak about your brother that way, Dad growled. He's going to make this family proud. And what am I making this family? Just money, right? Mom grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. Go to your room. We'll discuss your punishment later. That night, I heard them arguing with Adam in the kitchen. She's getting ideas above her station, Mom said. That old lawyer filling her head with nonsense. Maybe we should let her take some night classes, Adam suggested, surprising me. Keep her quiet. No, Dad's voice was firm. Give her an inch. She'll take a mile. Besides, we need that money for your graduate school applications. I pulled out my ledger, adding another entry. Tuition money earned today, $50. Amount given to Adam, $50. Amount spent by Adam at campus bar, overheard, $75. The numbers never added up. Curious, I waited until everyone was asleep and crept downstairs. In Dad's office, I found the filing cabinet unlocked. Inside, buried under tax forms, were Adam's school receipts. My hands shook as I read them. The tuition was half what they claimed. The rest of my wages, where had they gone? I dug deeper, finding bank statements, loan documents. They'd been using my labor to not just fund Adam's education, but to pay off their own debts. A floorboard creaked behind me. Looking for something? I spun around. Adam stood in the doorway, looking unusually sober. Why didn't you tell me, I whispered. You knew they were lying about the costs. He shrugged, looking almost ashamed. Would it have changed anything? They decided our roles long ago, sis. I'm the star, you're the support beam. And you're okay with that? Better you than me. He turned to leave, then paused. By the way, you might want to hide those practice tests better. Mom found them under your mattress. The next morning, my textbooks were gone, and the window had a new lock. But they couldn't take away what I'd learned about law, about justice, and about the true cost of family loyalty. I added one final entry to my ledger that day. Lesson learned. Keep better records. They'll be needed later. Ms. Ross, Time magazine is online too, my assistant calls through the intercom. They want to feature the foundation in their Women Changing the World issue. I smile, remembering the dirt under my fingernails 20 years ago. Now my office sits 30 stories above Manhattan, and the Dreams Not Duty Foundation helps hundreds of girls escape the same fate I nearly suffered. Cynthia bursts in, tablet in hand. You need to see this. She's been my right hand since I started the foundation, the sister I should have had. Your brother's in trouble again. The headline reads, Local man faces gambling charges, family property in foreclosure. Below is Adam's mugshot. His once golden boy looks now haggard and worn. Karma's a patient lady, Cynthia remarks. Before I can respond, Quinn knocks on my door. She's not that scared 12-year-old who used to watch me work the fields anymore. Now she runs our mentorship program. The new girls are here for orientation, she says. They're nervous. Would you... I follow her to our meeting room. 20 teenage girls sit around the table, all with stories too familiar to me. Their parents chose sons over daughters, tradition over potential. Welcome to your fresh start, I begin, but a commotion in the hallway interrupts me. Ma'am, you can't go in there, our receptionist calls out. I'm her mother. I have every right. My blood freezes. That voice. Mom bursts through the door, 2 decades older, but wearing the same expression of righteous indignation. Behind her, Dad looks smaller than I remember, his shoulders stooped. Bridget, Mom says, trying to sound warm. We've been trying to reach you. I've been busy. I turn to Quinn. Please take the girls to the library. We'll continue orientation there. After they file out, Mom's facade cracks. Your brother needs help. The bank is taking everything. Sounds like Adam's destiny finally caught up with him. Don't be cruel, Dad snaps, but there's no force behind it. We're still your parents. Are you? I open my desk drawer and pull out my old ledger. Parents don't steal from their children. We didn't steal, Mom begins. I have the receipts, I cut her off. Every penny you claimed went to Adam's tuition. Every hour I worked, every lie you told. We did what was best for the family, Dad insists. No, you did what was easiest for you. And now that Adam's gambled away everything, you want me to bail you out? He's sick, Mom pleads. He needs treatment. The house is going into foreclosure. We have nowhere else to turn. I laugh, and they flinch at the sound. Funny how family duty only works one way. Cynthia appears in the doorway. Your 3 o'clock is here. The reporter from Time? Tell them I'll be right there. I stand smoothing my skirt. I have a foundation to run, one that helps girls like I used to be. Please, Mom tries one last time. We can work something out. Alone, maybe? Alone? I pick up a framed photo from my desk, me with the first group of girls we helped. Like the one you took from my childhood? Should I calculate the interest on that? Dad steps forward. Now listen here. No, you listen. My voice is steel. Every year I help dozens of girls escape families like you. That's my legacy, not cleaning up Adam's messes. You'd let your own brother go to jail? Mom's voice breaks. He put himself there, just like you put me in those fields. I press the intercom. Security, please escort these people out. As they're led away, Mom turns back. This isn't over, Bridget. Family is forever. No, I call after her. Family is a choice, and I made mine. Cynthia watches them go, then turns to me. You okay? Better than okay. I pick up my old ledger. Remember how I told you I kept records of everything they took from me? She nods. Time to use them. Call our lawyers. I smile, thinking of the scared girl who once hid textbooks under hay bales. I want every penny accounted for, every hour valued at current market rate, with 20 years of compound interest. That'll bankrupt them, Cynthia warns. They bankrupted my childhood, I reply, watching my parents' retreating figures through the window. Now they get to learn what that really costs. My phone buzzes at 3 a.m. Mom's number. I let it ring 4 times before answering. Bridget, baby, please. Her voice is honey sweet, nothing like the steel commands of my childhood. We need to talk, face to face. There's nothing to discuss. Adam's in trouble, real trouble. A pause. They're saying 10 years minimum. I sit up in bed, suddenly wide awake. What did he do? Can we meet? Tomorrow? Please just hear us out. The desperation in her voice is satisfying, but I keep mine neutral. My office, 9 a.m. Could we, somewhere more private? My office, I repeat, or nowhere. They arrive at 9:15, Mom, Dad, and Adam, slouching behind them. My security guard eyes them warily as they enter my corner office. Nice view, Adam mutters, looking out over the city. He's thinner than in his mugshot, eyes darting around like a cornered animal. Sit. I gesture to the chairs facing my desk. They comply, and for a moment, I savor the role reversal. Now I'm the one giving orders. You look well, Mom tries. Success suits you. What did Adam do? Dad clears his throat. There was a misunderstanding with some investors. He ran an illegal gambling ring, Mom interrupts, her composure cracking. Used other people's money, important people. Their kids' college funds, Adam adds quietly. I was sure I could double it, triple it. How much? $2 million. Dad's voice is barely a whisper. I lean back in my chair. And you think I can help how? Your foundation, Mom says quickly. It has resources, connections, maybe some kind of payment plan. You want me to use my charity to bail out your gambling son? We're not asking for charity, Dad bristles. We're asking for family help. Family help? I pull out my old ledger from my desk drawer. Like this kind of family help? Their faces pale as I open it. 20 years of meticulous records. Every dollar they claimed went to Adam's education. Every hour I worked. Every lie documented. That was different, Mom protests. We were doing what was best. For the family? I finish. Funny how that excuse only works when it benefits Adam. Adam stands suddenly. Look, I know I messed up, but these guys, they're serious. They're not just going to take the house. They're talking about breaking legs, or worse. Sit down, I tell him. He does. Please. Mom reaches for my hand across the desk. I pull back. Whatever you think of us, Adam's still your brother. Is he? I open my laptop, turn it to face them. Because according to these emails I found, he knew exactly what you were doing with my wages. He knew, and he helped cover it up. Adam's face crumples. I was just a kid. So was I. My shout makes them jump. I was 12 when you stole my future, 12 when you decided his destiny mattered more than mine. We can make it right, Dad pleads. Whatever you want, just help us fix this. I press the intercom. Cynthia, bring in the files. My assistant enters with a thick folder. I spread the contents across my desk. Bank statements, forged signatures, loan documents with inflated numbers. I've had forensic accountants go through everything, I tell them. 20 years of theft, fraud, and lies. With interest, you owe me just over $300,000. Mom's face goes white. We don't have that kind of money. I know. I smile. But you have assets. The house, Dad's business, the land. You'd take everything? Adam asks. Your own family? No, I correct him. I'm taking back what's mine, with interest. I push a stack of papers across the desk. Sign these, transferring everything to the foundation, and I'll make your gambling debts disappear. And if we don't, Dad challenges, then I press charges for fraud, and Adam faces his investors alone. They stare at the papers, then at each other. Mom starts to cry. You have until tomorrow, I tell them, standing. Now get out of my office. As they shuffle toward the door, Adam turns back. When did you get so cold? Around the same time you all taught me what family really means. The door closes behind them, and I pick up my old ledger. Soon, every entry will be balanced, every debt paid, with interest. They return the next morning, looking like they haven't slept. Mom's makeup is smeared, Dad's hands shake, and Adam keeps checking his phone nervously. Before you sign, I say, spreading the documents across my conference table, let me show you exactly what you're paying for. I pull out a projector remote. The wall lights up with scanned pages from my childhood ledger. October 15th, age 13, I read. Worked 14 hours, told Mom my hands were bleeding. She said to wear gloves and stop complaining. We didn't have a choice, Mom interrupts. Times were hard. December 3rd, I continue. Adam came home drunk, crashed the car. Parents took $2,000 from my savings to fix it, claimed it was for his textbooks. Adam shifts uncomfortably. I didn't know they used your money. Liar. I click to the next image, a letter in Adam's handwriting. This is you telling them to take more from my account because, quote, she's just going to waste it on community college anyway. I was young and stupid. March 21st, I cut him off. Caught pneumonia from working in the rain. Mom said I was being dramatic. Found out later they used my antibiotics money for Adam's spring break trip. Dad stands up suddenly. Enough. We get it. We made mistakes. Mistakes? I laugh. Let's talk about the forged signatures, the fake tuition bills, the secret account where you funneled my wages. I project bank statements onto the wall. Mom's face crumples as she sees her own signature on documents she thought were long destroyed. This is blackmail, she whispers. No, this is accounting. I point to the bottom line. Every hour of my childhood you sold, every dream you killed, every lie you told, it all adds up. Adam's phone buzzes. He checks it, goes pale. They're outside my apartment. The guys I owe, they're getting impatient. Not my problem. I slide the transfer papers closer. Sign, and all your debts disappear, including the ones you owe me. And if we refuse? Dad's voice wavers. I press play on a video. It's security footage from their kitchen 20 years ago. Mom counting my wages, Dad laughing as they inflate Adam's tuition bills. This goes to the police, I say, along with 2 decades of financial records, fraud charges, tax evasion. Should be enough to put you all away. You'd send your own parents to jail? Mom's voice breaks. A good daughter sacrifices. I throw her words back at her. Isn't that what you taught me? Adam grabs a pen. I'll sign, whatever you want. Just make them go away. Adam, no! Mom reaches for him, but he shrugs her off. It's over, Mom. We lost. His signature is shaky but legible. Dad goes next, not meeting my eyes as he signs away his business. Mom holds out the longest, staring at me like she's seeing a stranger. Where did we go wrong with you? She asks quietly. You didn't go wrong with me, I correct her. You went wrong with yourselves, she signs. The sound of her pen scratching paper feels like closure. The foundation's lawyers will handle the gambling debts, I tell them, gathering the documents. You have 48 hours to vacate the property. Where are we supposed to go? Dad demands. There's a shelter downtown. They take families. I smile coldly. I should know. I donate to them. They stand to leave, defeated and small. At the door, Adam turns back. Remember when we were kids? He asks. You used to follow me around, saying you wanted to be just like your big brother. I remember. Then I grew up and realized my big brother was just a coward who let them destroy his little sister. We're still blood, he tries one last time. Blood? I walk to my window, looking down at the city below. Blood is just genetics. Family is supposed to be love, protection, sacrifice. That goes both ways. You taught me it was none of those things. And this is better? Mom asks. Being cold? Alone? I think of my foundation, the girls we've saved, the lives we've changed. I'm not alone. I built something real, something that matters. While you were breaking me, I was learning how to rebuild myself. The door closes behind them. In the silence, I open my ledger one last time and write, Account settled. Breaking news, the TV anchor announces. Local businessman Eugene faces multiple fraud charges as investigation into son's gambling ring expands. I mute the television as Cynthia enters my office. Your mother's been calling radio stations, she says, telling them you're a heartless daughter who destroyed her family. Let her, I reply, but my hands clench under the desk. My phone lights up with a text from Quinn. Turn on Channel 7 now. I unmute the TV. There's my mother, perfectly coiffed despite everything, playing the victim for the cameras. My daughter, she sobs. She was always jealous of her brother. Now she's using her money and power to punish us. What kind of person turns against their own blood? The reporter turns to Adam, who looks appropriately contrite. We made mistakes, he admits, but she's going too far. There are death threats from my creditors. Our parents are sleeping in their car, all because she won't forgive and forget. I grab my phone to call our PR team, but Cynthia stops me. Wait, watch. The camera pans to reveal Quinn standing nearby. May I speak? She asks the reporter. Mom tries to wave her away. This is a family matter. I knew Bridget when we were kids, Quinn continues, ignoring her. I watched her parents pull her out of school at 12, watched them work her like a slave while her brother partied through college. The reporter turns, interested. You were there? I saw her hands bleed from field work, saw her study by flashlight because they said education was for boys. Now I run programs at her foundation, helping girls escape the same fate. This is slander, Mom shrieks, but the damage is done. My phone buzzes, a message from Jacoby, my old mentor. Proud of you, kid. Your parents just stopped by my house, trying to dig up dirt. Told them all I had was proof of their fraud. Another text arrives, this one from Dad. You've made your point. Name your terms. Before I can respond, Cynthia rushes in. The annual foundation gala is tonight. Your parents are threatening to show up. Let them, I decide. It's time everyone heard the whole story. The gala is packed. Donors, supporters, and most importantly, girls we've helped. Mom and Dad arrive just as I take the stage, Adam skulking behind them. Welcome, I begin. 20 years ago, I was a 12-year-old girl whose parents decided her dreams mattered less than her brothers. I tell everything, the stolen wages, the forged documents, the lies. In the audience, other women nod, recognizing their own stories. But this isn't about revenge, I continue. It's about breaking cycles. Every girl we help is one less child treated as property, one less future stolen. Mom stands up. You ungrateful... Security, I say calmly into the microphone. Please escort out anyone who interrupts. As guards approach, Adam grabs Mom's arm. Don't. You're making it worse. Tonight, I announce, the foundation is launching a new initiative, the Freedom Fund, providing legal aid to girls fighting educational discrimination, and its first funding comes from assets recently recovered from my own family. The audience applauds. Mom turns white. Dad looks like he's aged 10 years. You can't do this, he calls out. We'll go to the media. Tell them everything. Quinn steps forward from the crowd. Tell them what? How you robbed your daughter? How you're angry she finally fought back? Other women stand, dozens of them, all with similar stories. This isn't just about me anymore, I tell my family. Look around. Every woman here has a version of my story, but their daughters won't. We're making sure of that. Mom makes one last attempt. I'll tell them about the abortion, she hisses. Your secret from college. How you... That was me, Adam interrupts quietly. My girlfriend. Bridget helped her because I was too scared. Remember? Mom deflates, her last weapon useless. It's over, I tell them. The foundation owns everything now, and will use it to help girls you would have destroyed, just like you tried to destroy me. As security leads them out, Adam looks back. For what it's worth, he says, I'm sorry. I really am. I know, I reply. But sorry doesn't change the past. It just means you have to live with it, like I did. The doors close behind them, and the applause begins. Not for my revenge, but for what it will build. Something better, something lasting, something free. The morning after the gala, I drive to my childhood home. Moving trucks line the driveway, and workers carry out furniture under Quinn's supervision. My parents have until noon to collect personal items before the foundation takes possession. They're inside, Quinn warns as I approach. Been arguing all morning about what to take. I find them in the kitchen. Mom's carefully wrapping china plates, the ones she never let me touch. Dad's at the table sorting through papers. Adam leans against the wall, looking lost. Time's almost up, I announce. These plates were your grandmother's, Mom says, not looking at me. I suppose you'll sell them too? Actually, they're going to the Foundation's museum, along with my ledgers and work clothes. We're creating an exhibit about generational trauma. Trauma? Dad slams his papers down. We gave you a roof over your head, food, and what did it cost me? I pull out an envelope. Here's the final tally. Every penny you stole, every hour you took, every opportunity you killed, plus 20 years interest. They stare at the number. Adam whistles low. That's impossible, Mom whispers. No, that's compound interest, the same principle that would have grown my college fund if you hadn't stolen it. And now you've stolen everything from us, Dad says bitterly. Wrong again. I lay out 3 documents. These are your choices. They lean forward to read. Option 1, you sign over everything, walk away clean. The foundation handles Adam's gambling debts, provides you a small monthly stipend. Option 2, Adam asks. I press charges, fraud, theft, child labor violations. With the evidence I have, you're looking at serious time. Mom's hands shake. And 3, you work for the foundation, telling your story, helping other families break the cycle. Minimum wage, of course, just like you paid me. You're enjoying this, Dad accuses. Yes, I admit. But that's not why I'm doing it. Quinn, bring them in. The kitchen door opens. 3 teenage girls enter, each carrying folders. Meet Sarah, Maya, and Jasmine, I say. Their parents tried to pull them out of school last month. The foundation intervened. What does this have to do with us? Mom demands. Everything. I turn to the girls. Tell them your stories. For the next hour, we listen. Sarah's parents wanted her to clean houses while her brother attended private school. Maya's father said education would make her too independent for marriage. Jasmine was expected to drop out and care for younger siblings. Sound familiar? I ask my parents as the girls finish. Mom's crying silently. Dad won't meet my eyes. Adam looks sick. This is your legacy, I continue. Not just what you did to me, but what families like you do to daughters everywhere. Now you can help stop it, or you can walk away. Your choice. Choice? Mom laughs bitterly. Like the choice you gave me about my china? No, like the choice you never gave me about my life. Adam steps forward, grabs a pen. I'll take option 1, clean break, small stipend. It's more than I deserve. Dad follows suit. We'll take the stipend. But Mom hesitates, looking at the third option. These girls, they're like you were? There are thousands like I was. Every day, more families choose sons over daughters. She picks up the pen, hands shaking. Option 3, I'll tell our story. Maybe it will help someone. Mom, no, Adam protests. After what she's done to us. What we did to her, Mom corrects quietly. I see that now. She signs the paper. Dad explodes. You're betraying our family for her revenge plot? No, Mom says. I'm trying to save other families from becoming like us. The moving trucks are loaded by noon. Adam and Dad leave without looking back, clutching their stipend agreements. But Mom stays, watching the workers carry out the last boxes. I'll never forgive you for taking our home, she says. I'll never forgive you for taking my childhood, I reply. But maybe we can both do something good with what's left. She nods once, then walks to her car. No longer a mother, really, but maybe someday a colleague in the fight for other daughters' futures. I lock the front door one last time. Tomorrow, contractors will begin converting my childhood prison into a shelter for girls escaping families like mine. Karma, it turns out, doesn't just destroy. Sometimes it transforms. The autumn wind whips around me as I stand in front of my childhood home, now transformed into the Foundation's first rural sanctuary. The fields where I once labored are now community gardens, tended by the girls who live here. First group arrives tomorrow, Quinn says, joining me on the porch. 5 girls, aged 12 to 15, all with stories like ours. Like mine, a voice adds. Mom appears, clutching her orientation materials. She's lost weight since taking the foundation job, and there's a new heaviness in her eyes. Today's my first day as resident counselor. Remember our agreement, I warn. 1 mistake, 1 attempt to contact Dad or Adam. I know. She fingers the lanyard with her ID badge. I'm here to help, not hurt. Though God knows I've done enough hurting. Inside, volunteers arrange donated furniture. The living room where I used to hide my books is now a library. My old bedroom is a counseling office. Adam's room, with its faded sports posters, has become a study hall. Cynthia appears with a stack of files. Your mother's first case files, all vetted and approved by the board. Mom takes them, hands trembling slightly. These girls, their parents are like I was, aren't they? That's why you're here, I reply. You understand them, the twisted logic of sacrifice and duty. Maybe you can reach them before they destroy their daughters. A car pulls up outside. Jacoby, my old mentor, now the Foundation's legal advisor. He carries a familiar leather ledger. Found this while cleaning my office, he says, handing it to me. Thought it belonged here. It's my original accounting of every wrong done to me, the seed that grew into this moment. Put it in the library, I tell Quinn. Let it remind everyone that justice has a long memory. Mom reaches for the ledger. I let her take it, watch her face as she reads her own cruelties documented in her daughter's childish handwriting. I never saw it, she whispers. How detailed, how methodical your pain was. You never looked, I correct her. A young girl appears in the doorway, one of tomorrow's arrivals, come early with her parents. They hover behind her, looking as lost as my parents once looked powerful. Welcome to your fresh start, I tell her, but her parents step forward. We've changed our minds, her father announces. This is family business, not— Stop. Mom's voice cracks like a whip. I was you, 20 years ago, telling myself I knew best, that daughters are different, that sacrifice is love. She takes the girl's hand. I lost my daughter that way. Don't lose yours. The parents exchange glances. Something in Mom's voice reaches them. We just want what's best, the mother says weakly. Then let her choose it herself, Mom replies. I never gave my daughter that chance. Now she's given me one last opportunity to make things right, not with her, but with girls like her. Don't make my mistakes. They stay. Later, as sunset paints the old fields gold, I find Mom in the library, still holding my ledger. I keep thinking, she says, about that day I pulled you from school. If I could go back. We can't go back, I tell her, but we can go forward. That's what this place is for. Will you ever forgive me? No, I answer honestly, but I'll work with you. That's something neither of us had before, the chance to choose who we become. Through the window, I watch the young girl explore the garden with Quinn. Her parents talk with counselors on the porch. Tomorrow more girls will come. More parents will face their choices. More futures will branch away from the past. Your father called, Mom says quietly. He and Adam want to know if they can visit. No. I take my ledger from her hands, place it carefully on a shelf. Some bridges stay burned, but we're building new ones. She nods, understanding at last that redemption isn't about recovering what was lost, but creating something better from the ashes. Outside, the girl in the garden picks a flower, holds it up to the dying light. Free to choose, to learn, to become. I touch the spine of my ledger one last time. The accounts are settled, the debts paid. Now it's time to write a different kind of story. Not about what was taken, but what we can give. Not about revenge, but revolution. Not about the past, but the future we dare to build.
The crystal champagne flute shattered in my grip, sending shards across Aunt Remington's imported marble floor. The room fell silent, but the echo of their laughter still rang in my ears. I'm Julia, and this was supposed to be just another Phillips family reunion. Instead, it became the night that changed everything. Oh dear, always so clumsy. Aunt Remington's voice dripped with false concern. Just like your fashion sketches, messy and unfocused. When will you grow up and join the real world? My mother Cassandra rushed over with a dustpan, avoiding my eyes. Julia, please be more careful with the Waterford crystal. Sorry about the glass, I muttered, though no one was listening anymore. They'd already returned to their favorite topic, my perpetual singlehood at 33. Did you hear about Margaret's daughter? Remington continued, loud enough for everyone to hear. Married a surgeon last month, and she's 5 years younger than Julia. My sister Abigail chimed in from across the room. Well, some of us prioritized finding the right man instead of chasing silly dreams. She adjusted her new engagement ring, making sure it caught the light. I forced a smile, the kind that hurts your cheeks. My brand is gaining traction. The online store, Online store, Remington scoffed, cutting me off. In my day, real designers had boutiques, like mine. She gestured to the framed photos of her store dotting the walls. But you're too stubborn to learn from experience, too old and plain to attract a husband, and too proud to admit defeat. Fresh laughter rippled through the room. Even my brother Colin, usually the quiet one, smirked behind his whiskey glass. Speaking of potential matches, my mother brightened, Colin's friend Tyree is here. Such a nice young man, and single. On cue, a balding man in an ill-fitting suit appeared beside me. Hey, I hear you do something with clothes? I'm a fashion designer, I corrected automatically. I create... Cool, he interrupted. So, like, you work at the mall or something? More snickers. I caught Kimberly's sympathetic glance from across the room, my one true friend in this viper's nest. She made a subtle motion toward the terrace doors. Excuse me, I mumbled, already moving. Need some air. The night air hit my face like a splash of cold water. I gripped the terrace railing, knuckles white, trying to steady my breathing. Don't let them get to you, Kimberly said softly, appearing beside me. They're just jealous because you dared to want something different. Different? I laughed bitterly. I'm the family joke, the cautionary tale they'll tell their daughters. Don't be like Cousin Julia, she'll die alone with her sketch pads. Jules. No, Kim, I'm done. Something shifted inside me, like tectonic plates finally breaking. They want me to fail? Fine. But I'm going to fail so spectacularly, so publicly, that when I succeed, it'll burn twice as bright. The sliding door opened behind us. Julia? My mother's voice, sharp with disapproval. Tyree is waiting. Don't be rude. I turned slowly, meeting her gaze. Tell Tyree I'm busy planning my future, and tell Aunt Remington to enjoy her boutique while it lasts. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm done being the family punching bag. I walked past her, head high, straight through the living room where conversations hushed at my approach. At the front door, I paused and looked back at their startled faces. Remember this moment, I said clearly. Remember how you laughed. Because I promise you, I'll remember too. The door slammed behind me with satisfying force. In my car, hands shaking as I gripped the steering wheel, I made myself a promise. They would regret underestimating me, every single one of them. I just didn't know then how sweet that regret would taste. Your credit card has been declined, miss. The barista's voice carried across the coffee shop, drawing curious glances. My face burned as I checked my banking app. All accounts showed zero balance. I've got this, Kimberly stepped in, sliding her card across the counter. We grabbed our drinks and retreated to a corner table. They froze everything, I said, staring into my coffee. Mom called this morning to say I'm cut off until I come to my senses. Apparently storming out of a family reunion is unforgivable. Those manipulative, Kimberly caught herself. Okay, what's the plan? I pulled out my tablet, showing her my latest designs. I've got savings from my old job. It's not much, but maybe enough to start small. Online boutique, minimal overhead. These are amazing, she scrolled through the sketches. But why not try working with an established brand first? Build connections? Funny you should mention that. I laughed without humor. I actually went to Aunt Remington's boutique yesterday. You didn't. I did. Thought maybe she'd see my portfolio and... I shook my head. She didn't even look at it. Just said, we don't hire hobbyists. That witch. Kimberly's eyes narrowed. Wait, isn't that your design? She pointed to a magazine ad for Remington's boutique. There, in glossy print, was a dress suspiciously similar to one I'd sketched months ago. She must have seen it when I showed my portfolio at the reunion, I said quietly. Before everything went down. You need to confront her. I did. She said it was just a coincidence and had security escort me out. Kimberly grabbed my hand. Jules, listen to me. Your designs speak to real women, not just the size zeros Remington caters to. Start there. Build something authentic. 2 weeks later, I launched my website. The initial response was crickets. Then bills started piling up. Maybe I should just apologize, I told Kimberly over cheap takeout in my newly rented studio apartment. Go back to corporate design, marry some boring accountant. Check your phone, she interrupted, grinning. A notification showed someone had shared my latest post, a design for professional women who felt invisible in standard office wear. The caption read, "Finally, someone gets it. This is what real fashion looks like." The poster was Marina Torres, a rising designer with 500,000 followers. My phone started buzzing non-stop. Orders trickled in, then flooded. By midnight, my first collection was sold out. "Holy shit," I whispered, watching the numbers climb. "This is just the beginning," Kimberly hugged me. "You're going to—" My phone pinged with an email notification. The subject line read, "Private invitation, Rising Stars Designer Gala." The what now? Kimberly peered over my shoulder. "It's anonymous," I scanned the email. "Says they've been watching my work and want me to showcase at their upcoming gala. All expenses paid." Sounds too good to be true. Probably is. I hovered over the delete button, then stopped. But what if it's not? What if this is my chance? "Could be a scam," Kimberly warned. "Or worse, what if Remington's behind it, trying to humiliate you?" I thought about my aunt's smirking face, my mother's disappointment, Abigail's contempt, about my designs on display in Remington's boutique window, stripped of my name. "You know what?" I clicked accept. "Let them try. I'm done hiding." "You're sure about this?" I showed her my phone's wallpaper, a screenshot of Remington's latest social media post, bragging about expanding her boutique empire. "They thought they could break me," I said. "Instead, they lit a fire. If this gala's a trap, fine, but if it's real—" I smiled, thinking of karma's perfect timing. Well, wouldn't that be something? The confirmation email arrived instantly. "Welcome to the future of fashion. See you in 3 weeks." Little did I know, those 3 weeks would change everything. And not just for me. The gala venue took my breath away. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, and fashion royalty mingling over champagne. My hands trembled as I adjusted my display, featuring designs for women who'd been told they were too much or not enough. Nervous? A woman in sleek glasses approached my booth. "I'm Sandra from Vogue Digital." My heart stopped. "From the anonymous email?" She smiled. "We've been tracking emerging designers who challenge industry norms. Your story resonated, especially after that viral post." Before I could respond, a commotion erupted near the entrance. Aunt Remington swept in, draped in designer labels, with her new business partner Nico trailing behind. "Ignore them." Sandra touched my arm. "Tell me about this piece." I launched into my pitch, describing how each design celebrated the woman wearing it rather than forcing her to conform. A crowd gathered, including several investors. One of them, a quiet woman named Rachel, pulled me aside afterward. "I'm not offering millions," she said frankly, "but I believe in what you're doing. Let's start small. Build something real." 3 months later, my brand exploded. Orders poured in faster than we could fill them. Women shared stories of feeling seen for the first time. "Look at this," Kimberly showed me a customer's email. "I wore your dress to my divorce hearing. For the first time in years, I felt powerful." My phone buzzed. Another industry alert about Remington's boutique. She'd opened 3 new locations with Nico's backing. "Something's off about that expansion," Kimberly frowned. "My friend in wholesale says Nico's numbers don't add up." "Not our problem," I said, but curiosity nagged at me. That afternoon, my former seamstress Maria called in tears. "Ms. Julia, they offered me triple salary to work for them, but something feels wrong. The paperwork, the hours." "Don't take it," I warned. "I've heard rumors about Nico's operations. Ms. Remington said you'd try to stop me, said you're jealous of their success." I laughed bitterly. Ask her about the knockoffs she's selling or where Nico gets his merchandise. The next day, Vogue Digital published their Anti-It Girl feature about me. The headline read, "Rising designer proves success doesn't need family connections." My phone exploded with messages. First came Abigail. "Mom's upset about the article. How could you embarrass us like this?" Then Colin. "Hey sis, been thinking about investing in fashion startups. Got time for coffee?" I ignored them all. "Your family's reaching out?" Rachel asked during our weekly check-in. "Now that there's something in it for them." I showed her the latest sales figures instead. "We're growing too fast. Need bigger production facilities." "Already handled," she smiled. "But there's something else you should see." She pulled up an industry report. Remington's boutique was listed under aggressive expansion, watch list. "Your aunt's new partner?" Rachel tapped the screen. "He's known for cutting corners. Designer knockoffs, underpaid workers, creative accounting, nothing proven, but why tell me this?" "Because success is the best revenge, but knowledge is power." She stood to leave. "Just be careful. People like that play dirty when cornered." That night, I received an anonymous email. "Back off or your precious brand gets buried. We know what you're digging into." I forwarded it to Kimberly with 3 words. "They're getting nervous." My phone pinged with breaking news. A major fashion blog had exposed several boutiques selling counterfeits. Remington's wasn't named, but the description matched. "What's our play?" Kimberly asked. I thought about Maria, about other workers possibly being exploited, about karma and consequences. "We keep building," I said, "but we also start documenting everything. Every suspicious order, every threat, every connection to Nico's operation." "And then?" I smiled, thinking of Sandra from Vogue Digital and her interest in industry-changing stories. "Then we wait for the perfect moment to let the truth do what truth does best." The next morning, I received an invitation to the year's biggest fashion investment summit. The keynote speaker? A mysterious billionaire known for transforming troubled industries. Sometimes, karma needs a little help with timing. "Julia," my brother Colin's voice cut through the trade show crowd. "Didn't expect to see you here." "Really? At a fashion industry event?" I raised an eyebrow. "What's your excuse?" He shifted uncomfortably. "Networking. Look, about the family dinner next week. Can't make it." I cut him off. "Too busy being a disappointment." "That's not fair. Mom's trying to control me, criticize my choices, push me toward another boring accountant." "Actually," he grinned, "she's showing everyone your magazine feature. Not the parts about family drama, obviously, but the success stuff. She's taking credit." Before I could respond, a deep voice interrupted. "Excuse me, are you Julia from Empowered Designs?" I turned to face a tall man in an impeccably tailored suit. His presence commanded attention, but his smile was surprisingly warm. "Ethan Brown," he extended his hand. "I've been following your work." Colin's eyes widened at the name. Everyone in business knew Ethan Brown, the billionaire investor with a reputation for transforming industries. "I'll catch you later," Colin mumbled, retreating quickly. "Your brother?" Ethan asked. "Unfortunately, you've been following my work. Since your first viral post, your designs aren't just clothes, they're statements about worth and visibility, very different from, say, Remington Boutique's approach." Something in his tone made me look closer. "You know about Remington's?" "I make it my business to know everything about industries I might invest in." He gestured toward a quieter corner, "including their less savory aspects." Over coffee, Ethan revealed he'd been investigating fashion industry practices. Small boutiques using questionable suppliers, exploiting workers, selling knockoffs, it's more common than people think. "Hypothetically," I said carefully, "what if someone had evidence of such practices?" His eyes sharpened. "Hypothetically, that person should be very careful. These operations often have dangerous connections. Speaking from experience, my first company was nearly destroyed by similar tactics. He smiled grimly. Now I help others avoid the same fate, or occasionally deliver karma. Our conversation shifted to lighter topics. Ethan was surprisingly down to earth, sharing stories about growing up in a small town, building his empire from nothing. Trust issues? He guessed when I deflected a personal question. Family speciality, I admitted, along with backhanded compliments and strategic guilt trips. Ah, yes, I read the Vogue piece. His hand brushed mine. Their loss. The moment was interrupted by commotion at a nearby booth. My former seamstress Maria was arguing with Nico, Remington's partner. You promised proper wages, Maria's voice carried. These papers say half what we discussed. Take it or leave it, Nico growled. And remember our conversation about discretion. I started forward, but Ethan caught my arm. Wait, he murmured. Document everything. My phone buzzed. Abigail calling. I declined. Sister, Ethan guessed. Another family member hoping to cash in on my lucky break. I sighed. They all want something now. And what do you want? I watched Nico skulking away, leaving Maria in tears. Justice, but the legal kind. Interesting distinction. Ethan's smile held a hint of steel. I might have some ideas about that. He handed me his card. Actual phone number, not just office contact. Call me, he said. For business or otherwise. I'd like to help with both. That evening, Kimberly analyzed every detail of our interaction. A billionaire investor who's both gorgeous and interested in taking down corrupt businesses? Sounds too perfect. Maybe, I admitted, but his interest in Remington's practices seems genuine. Speaking of which, she pulled up an email. 3 more workers contacted us about wage theft and unsafe conditions. And look who's listed as silent partner in their new location. The name made my blood run cold. A businessman known for connections to counterfeit fashion rings. My phone chimed with a text from Ethan. Dinner tomorrow? I have information you need to hear. Be careful, Kimberly warned, both with Ethan and this investigation. Nico doesn't seem like someone who plays nice. Neither am I replied, typing my response to Ethan. Not anymore. What I didn't know then was how right Kimberly was about being careful and how wrong I was about being prepared for what came next. These photos were taken last week. Ethan spread surveillance images across his private office desk. They showed Nico meeting with known counterfeit dealers behind Remington's newest boutique. Your aunt either knows and is complicit, or she's dangerously naive. She knows, I said flatly. Remington's never met a shortcut she didn't like. There's more. He pulled up financial records. The boutique's expansion, funded by laundered money. Your aunt's signature is on everything. My hands shook as I examined the documents. Why show me this? Because in 3 days, I'm launching a hostile takeover of their entire operation. His eyes met mine. Unless you object. Why would I object? She's your family. I laughed bitterly. Family? Let me show you family. I pulled out my phone, displaying the latest threatening email. 1 word about our business practices and your pretty designs get buried along with your career. Ethan's expression hardened. When did these start? After Maria quit, but it gets better. I scrolled through messages. Aunt Remington visited our main supplier yesterday, tried to convince them to break contract, called it family loyalty. Julia! He took my hand. This is serious. These people... I know. I squeezed his hand back. That's why I've been gathering evidence. I pulled out a USB drive containing everything. Worker testimonies, fake invoice trails, photos of counterfeit merchandise. 3 months of careful documentation. You've been investigating them? They stole my designs, threatened my workers, and tried to sabotage my business. Did they think I'd just take it? His smile was appreciative. Remind me never to cross you. So, what's your plan? Anonymous tip to the Fashion Industry Ethics Board. Evidence sent to select journalists. Then my company moves in during the chaos, citing industry cleanup initiatives. Destroying Remingtons in the process. Having second thoughts? I thought about years of belittlement, of watching workers like Maria get exploited, of Remington's smug certainty that she was untouchable. Do it. That night, lying in Ethan's arms, doubt crept in. Am I becoming like them? Using power to hurt people? No, he traced my cheek. You're protecting people from criminals. There's a difference. My phone buzzed. Another anonymous threat. Hope you're ready for war, little girl. Speaking of criminals, Ethan read over my shoulder. Maybe you should stay here until this blows over. My security team. I'm not hiding. I sat up. Let them come. At least let me... No. I kissed him quiet. I need to handle this my way. The next morning, fashion blogs exploded with headlines about Remington's boutique. Photos, documents, worker testimonies, everything leaked overnight. My anonymous tip had worked perfectly. By afternoon, investors were pulling out. By evening, Ethan's company announced its industry cleanup initiative, starting with a complete takeover of Remington's operation. Julia! My mother's panicked voice filled my voicemail. Please call back. Your aunt's having a breakdown. The family's savings. We all invested in her expansion. I deleted the message. Harsh, Kimberly commented. They chose their side. I showed her another threatening email, this one from an untraceable account. You'll regret this. Family should know better. Think it's Remington? No, this feels like Nico. He's getting desperate. My phone rang. Ethan. Turn on the news. The headline stunned me. Fashion boutique empire collapses overnight. Owner Remington Turner missing. Missing? I whispered. Police found evidence of flight risk, Ethan explained. They're watching airports, but... A text from an unknown number lit up my screen. You think you've won? This is just the beginning. Hope your wedding dress is bulletproof. How did they know? I stared at my engagement ring, still secret from everyone except Kimberly. They're bluffing, Ethan assured me. But from now on, you have security. Non-negotiable. I ended the call and opened my laptop, typing a wedding invitation list. At the top, in bold, Remington Turner and family. You're not seriously... Kimberly gaped. Oh yes, I smiled. They wanted a show. I'll give them the performance of a lifetime. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with a white dress and a twist they'll never see coming. The family dinner table fell silent as I dropped the cream-colored envelopes in front of each place setting. My mother's hands trembled as she opened hers first. You're getting married? Abigail sputtered, scanning the invitation. To who? Someone successful. I smiled sweetly. You know, the kind of man you always said I'd never land. But who? My mother pressed. We haven't even met him. Oh, you've heard of him. He's actually the reason Aunt Remington's boutique went under. Colin choked on his wine. You're not saying... Where is dear Auntie, by the way? I glanced at her empty chair. Still hiding from the fraud investigators? She's dealing with legal matters, my mother snapped, which you would know if you hadn't abandoned your family during this crisis. Crisis? I laughed. You mean the consequences of running an illegal business? It wasn't illegal, Abigail defended. Just creative accounting. Is that what we're calling money laundering now? My father cleared his throat. Julia, about the family's investment in Remington's expansion. No. You haven't heard what The answer's no. I'm not bailing anyone out. But we're family, my mother pleaded. Family? I stood up slowly. Where was family when Remington stole my designs? When she threatened my workers? When you all laughed at my dreams? The doorbell rang. My mother rushed to answer it, probably hoping to escape the tension. Instead, she returned with Aunt Remington herself, looking considerably less polished than usual. You, Remington pointed a shaking finger at me. You did this to me. Did what? Expose your crimes? That was investigative journalists and the ethics board and the police. My reputation is ruined, she hissed. My life's work was built on exploitation and fraud, I finished. But hey, at least you're invited to my wedding. Your wedding is a joke, she spat. No real businessman would marry you. This is just another sad attempt at… Actually, a deep voice cut in from the doorway. I find her quite extraordinary. Everyone turned. Ethan stood there, perfectly suited, radiating quiet power. My mother dropped her glass. You… Remington went pale. You're the one who took over your company? Yes. Ethan moved to stand beside me. Though if you'd run it legally, that wouldn't have been necessary. The silence was delicious. I watched their faces as realization dawned. Not only was I marrying a billionaire, but the very man who had orchestrated Remington's downfall. This is a trick, Abigail finally managed. The wedding's in 3 weeks, I said cheerfully. Feel free to Google my fiancé in the meantime. Now, if you'll excuse us… Wait, my mother called as we turned to leave. Julia, please. The family invested everything in Remington's expansion. We're facing bankruptcy. Should have done your due diligence, Ethan replied coldly. My company's legal team found the fraud in under a week. We can work something out. Remington stepped forward. Surely as family… Family? I turned back one last time. Let me tell you about family. My brand just launched a foundation helping women escape toxic relationships, including financial abuse from relatives. That's what real family does. You'll regret this, Remington warned. You have no idea what Nico is capable of. Is that a threat? Ethan's voice turned dangerous. Because my security team would love to add witness intimidation to the investigation. We left them there, surrounded by wedding invitations and shattered illusions. In the car, Ethan squeezed my hand. You okay? Better than okay. I showed him my phone, already buzzing with panicked messages from relatives. Think they'll actually come? To watch you marry the man who destroyed their financial security? He grinned. They wouldn't miss it for the world. That night, I added one final touch to my wedding plans, a special slideshow for the reception, featuring news clips about Remington's downfall. Isn't that a bit much? Kimberly asked when I told her. No, I replied, thinking of years of humiliation. It's exactly enough. The next morning's headline read, Fashion's Power Couple, Billionaire Brown to Wed Industry Rising Star. Let them choke on that, I thought, and started planning my vows. They're all here, Kimberly reported, peeking through the church doors. Front row, looking like they swallowed lemons. I smoothed my designer wedding dress, my own creation, of course. Any sign of Nico? Security's watching, but speaking of watching… She grinned. You should see their faces every time another celebrity arrives. Your mother nearly fainted when that Oscar winner walked in. The wedding march began. My father appeared, looking uncomfortable. Ready? He asked stiffly. Are you? I countered. Given that you're walking your disappointment down the aisle? He flinched. Julia, Save it, just don't trip. The doors opened. Every head turned as we started down the aisle. I caught glimpses of familiar faces. Abigail's barely concealed envy, Colin's calculating gaze, my mother's tears, probably more about the venue's cost than emotion. Then I saw Ethan. His smile made everyone else fade away, until Aunt Remington's loud whisper cut through the music. It won't last. Men like that don't stay with women like her. I kept walking, head high. Let her talk. The truth would hit soon enough. The ceremony began traditionally enough. Then came the vows. Julia, Ethan's voice carried clearly, when I first investigated your aunt's company, I never expected to find something far more valuable than a business opportunity. I found a woman who turned other people's cruelty into strength, who built an empire helping others feel seen. Remington's sharp intake of breath was audible. Today, he continued, I'm not just gaining a wife, I'm joining forces with the most brilliant strategist I've ever met. Together, we'll transform the fashion industry, starting with a complete overhaul of certain questionable business practices. My mother swayed in her seat. Colin's face went ashen. My turn. Ethan, you saw me when I was invisible. You understood that sometimes justice needs a helping hand. Thank you for being my partner in both love and karma. The minister barely finished pronouncing us husband and wife before the whispers started. I caught fragments. She planned this. The takeover. No wonder. At the reception, Remington cornered us by the champagne fountain. You manipulated everything, she accused. Fed him information about my business. Actually, Ethan interrupted, I was already investigating you. Julia just provided additional evidence. Quite thoroughly documented, I might add. We'll sue, she threatened. Both of you. With what money? I asked sweetly. Besides, truth is an absolute defense against defamation. The evening progressed like a perfectly choreographed dance. The slideshow played, featuring not just Remington's downfall, but my brand's success. Each headline felt like another nail in their coffin of superiority. During dinner, my mother made one last attempt. Darling, she touched my arm, about the family's financial situation. Still no. But you have access to resources now. Like you had resources when I needed help? I turned to face her. Tell me, how much did you invest in Remington's illegal expansion? The same amount you refused to loan me for my legitimate business? She retreated, finally understanding. There would be no bailout. Later, Ethan caught me watching Remington and my mother huddled in intense discussion. They're plotting, I said. Let them. He nodded toward the dance floor where his niece Emma twirled in her flower girl dress. Some things are more important than revenge. This isn't just revenge, I corrected. It's justice. For Maria, for all the workers they exploited, for every dream they tried to crush. A commotion erupted near the gift table. Nico had somehow slipped past security, wild-eyed and desperate. You ruined everything, he shouted, reaching into his jacket. Security tackled him before he could pull whatever he was reaching for. As they led him away, I caught Remington's eye. She looked away first. Well, Ethan murmured, that adds attempted assault to his charges. I watched my family's faces, hungry for scraps of connection to power, and felt something unexpected. Pity. Dance with me, I told my husband. Let them watch what real success looks like. As we moved across the floor, I realized revenge wasn't as satisfying as I'd imagined. But justice? Justice felt divine. And this was just the beginning. Please, Julia, my mother begged, cornering me as the reception wound down. Just 5 minutes in private. I glanced at Ethan, who nodded slightly. Fine, 5 minutes. We stepped onto the terrace, Remington trailing behind like a shadow of her former self. The night air carried the scent of jasmine from the wedding decorations. You've made your point, my mother said. You're successful, powerful. We were wrong about you. Wrong about me? I laughed. You weren't wrong about me. You were wrong about yourselves. You thought your approval had value, your connections, your social standing. We're still family, Remington interjected. Family? I turned to her. Tell that to Maria, to all the workers you exploited, to every person you stepped on climbing your way up. I made mistakes. No, mistakes are accidental. You made choices, and now you're facing consequences. My mother grabbed my arm. What do you want from us? An apology? Public humiliation? You've achieved both. I don't want anything from you, I said quietly, removing her hand. That's what kills you, isn't it? I built something real, something lasting, without your help, your approval, or your toxic love. So that's it? Remington's voice cracked. You destroy everything we built and walk away? You destroyed it yourself. I just exposed the truth. I moved toward the door. Oh, and those investors you're meeting next week, don't bother. They already know everything. How did you? I told you. I built something real. People trust my word now, not yours. Inside, Emma ran up to me. Aunt Julia, Dad says you make dresses that make people feel like superheroes. I knelt down to her level. Want to help me design one? Her eyes lit up. Can it have pockets? Absolutely. Every dress should have pockets. Ethan appeared beside us. Everything okay? Perfect, I smiled, watching my mother and Remington retreat through the crowd. They finally understand. Understand what? That they're not the protagonists of this story. They never were. The next dance began, a slow song. Ethan pulled me close as Emma twirled nearby in her flower girl dress. Having regrets, he murmured. About exposing criminals? Never. I watched Colin escort our crying mother out. About letting them make me angry for so long? Maybe. You turned that anger into an empire. Built on helping others feel valued, I agreed. The opposite of everything they taught me. Across the room, Kimberly gave me a thumbs up as she showed Maria, now my head designer, something on her phone. Probably another viral post about our latest collection. You know what's funny? I said to Ethan. They always said I was too old, too plain, too ambitious to find happiness. But I didn't find it. I built it. With every design, every woman we employed, every life we changed. Speaking of changing lives, he nodded toward the door where Abigail lingered uncertainly. Your sister's been asking about internship programs. Let her apply like everyone else. I turned to face him fully. No more special treatment. No more toxic family dynamics. And Remington? The truth set her free, free to face criminal charges anyway. Emma tugged my dress. Can my superhero dress have stars on it? Stars and pockets, I promised. And you know what else? You can help design it yourself, because nobody gets to tell you what you're worth. I caught my reflection in a window. Me in my wedding dress, surrounded by people who valued creation over destruction, truth over appearances, real love over obligation. Too old and plain to find a husband, I whispered, remembering Remington's words from that fateful reunion. What was that? Ethan asked. Just remembering who I used to be. The woman who let them define her. And who are you now? I looked at Emma sketching dress ideas on a napkin, at Maria mentoring new designers, at Kimberly coordinating our next charity initiative. I'm exactly who I was always meant to be, I said. They just couldn't see it. The music swelled. In that moment, surrounded by the empire we'd built and the family we'd chosen, I felt neither triumph nor revenge. I felt peace. And that was the sweetest victory of all.
The text message arrived at 11:47 p.m., exactly 13 hours before I was scheduled to give my sister my kidney. He's here, again, room 314. Thought you should know. Jenny. My name is Jolie, and I've been the good daughter for 35 years, the reliable one, the one who remembers birthdays, organizes family dinners, and apparently donates vital organs without asking questions. I stared at the message until the words blurred. Jenny was the night nurse on Yara's floor, sweet woman, probably in her 50s, with kind eyes that had seen too much family drama play out in hospital corridors. She'd been taking care of my sister for 3 weeks now, ever since Yara's kidneys decided to quit on her. Jolie, honey, you need to get some sleep. My mother's voice drifted from the kitchen where she was stress cleaning. Again. Tomorrow's a big day. Big day. Right. The day I'd wake up missing an organ so my baby sister could continue her charmed life.
I walked to the living room where my father sat in his recliner, remote in hand, flipping through channels without really watching anything. The blue glow painted his face in tired shadows. "Dad, have you seen Alejandro tonight?" He glanced up, distracted. "Your husband?" "No, sweetheart. Thought he was working late again." Working late, at the hospital, in my sister's room, at midnight. "Mom," I called toward the kitchen, "when's the last time you talked to Alejandro?" The sound of dishes clattering stopped. "Why would I talk to your husband, Jolie? I've been here with you all evening, going over the pre-op instructions." She appeared in the doorway, dish towel in hand, that familiar crease between her eyebrows that meant she was about to launch into management mode. "You're not getting cold feet, are you? Because Yara is counting on you. We all are. Dr. Ramirez said the surgery has to happen tomorrow or—" "I know what he said." "Then why are you asking about Alejandro? He's probably just handling some last-minute work stuff before taking time off to help with your recovery." "My recovery, not Yara's. Mine, because I was the one going under the knife." I looked at my phone again. Jenny's message was still there, real as the knot forming in my stomach. "I'm going to bed," I announced. "Good idea." Mom's relief was palpable. "Set 3 alarms. We need to be at the hospital by 6. I climbed the stairs to my childhood bedroom, where I'd been staying for the past week. Mom insisted it would be easier to have me close by. Easier for whom, I wondered now. The room looked exactly the same as it had when I left for college 17 years ago. Pink walls, white furniture, a bulletin board still covered with academic achievement certificates and honor roll ribbons. All the quiet accomplishments of a quiet daughter. Down the hall, Yara's room remained a shrine to her more colorful achievements. Cheerleading trophies, prom queen crown, photos from her brief modeling stint, and framed articles from the local paper about her charity work. The charity work that lasted exactly long enough for the photo ops. I sat on my narrow twin bed and opened my laptop. The donor preparation materials were bookmarked, along with about 15 tabs of research I'd done on kidney donation, success rates, recovery times, long-term effects. I'd studied it all with the same methodical attention I brought to everything else in my life. But tonight I found myself typing something different into the search bar. How to find out if your spouse is cheating. The results were depressingly comprehensive. Check phone records. Look for changes in behavior. Notice if they're suddenly working late more often. Pay attention to new cologne or clothes. Alejandro had been working late a lot lately. "Always at the hospital," he said, "supporting me through this difficult time, being the devoted husband." My phone buzzed, a text from him. "Sorry, babe, stuck at the office. Don't wait up. Love you. Tomorrow's going to be amazing." Amazing. That was one word for it. I screenshot the message in Jenny's text, then closed my laptop. Tomorrow I would wake up at 5 a.m., shower with the special antibacterial soap, and drive to the hospital where they would wheel me into an operating room and remove a piece of me to save my sister's life. The sister who was, according to a night nurse with kind eyes, entertaining my husband in her hospital room at midnight. I turned off the light and lay in the dark, listening to my parents murmur to each other downstairs, probably discussing tomorrow's logistics, who would drive, where they'd wait during surgery, how proud they were of their selfless daughter. Selfless. I'd been called that my whole life, like it was a compliment. Maybe it was time to find out what selfish felt like. I didn't sleep. At 4:30 a.m., I gave up pretending and got dressed. The house was quiet, my parents still asleep. I had 2 hours before we needed to leave for the hospital. 2 hours to drive to my actual house and confirm what I already knew. I left a note on the kitchen counter. "Went home to grab a few things, back soon, Jay." The drive took 12 minutes. 12 minutes of gripping the steering wheel and practicing what I'd say if I was wrong. If Alejandro was actually home, asleep in our bed, and I was just a paranoid wife letting stress get to her. But his car wasn't in our driveway. I sat in my Honda for a full minute, staring at the empty space where his BMW should have been, the space where it had been every night for the past 3 years of our marriage, except for the nights he claimed to be working late. The nights that had become more frequent since Yara got sick. I unlocked the front door and stepped into the silence of my own home. Everything looked normal. Clean kitchen, folded laundry on the couch, yesterday's mail stacked neatly on the counter. The life of a woman who kept everything in order while her world fell apart. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom. "Where did you go? We need to leave in an hour." I typed back. "Getting my phone charger. Be right back." Another lie. I was getting good at those. I walked upstairs to our bedroom. The bed was made. Alejandro's side looked untouched. His pajamas were folded on his pillow, exactly where I'd left them yesterday morning. In the bathroom, his toothbrush was dry. I checked the garage. His golf clubs were there, his tennis racket, his gym bag, everything except him. My phone rang. Mom. "Jolie, honey, where are you? Your father's getting worried." "I'm at the house. I'll be there in 10 minutes. What could you possibly need that we didn't already pack?" "Just something I forgot." "Well, hurry up. We can't be late for this." I hung up and stood in my kitchen looking at the coffee maker that hadn't been used, the newspaper still in its plastic sleeve on the counter, evidence of a husband who hadn't come home. The drive back to my parents' house felt longer than 12 minutes. I kept checking my phone, waiting for Alejandro to text me, to call, to give me some explanation that would make sense. Nothing. Mom was waiting by the front door when I pulled up, her purse clutched in both hands. "There you are. Your father's loading the car. Did you get what you needed?" "Yeah." "Good. Alejandro called while you were gone. He's meeting us at the hospital." I stopped walking. "He called the house?" "Yes, about 20 minutes ago. Said he'd been trying to reach you, but your phone was going straight to voicemail." I pulled out my phone. No missed calls. No voicemail notifications. "What did he say?" "That he was sorry he couldn't drive us, but he'd be there before you went into surgery. Something about a client emergency that kept him up all night." A client emergency at the hospital in room 314. "Mom, what time did he call?" "I don't know, honey. Maybe 5:15. Why does it matter?" "Because at 5:15 a.m. Jenny would have been ending her shift, the night shift that had seen my husband visiting my sister's room after midnight." Dad appeared with a small suitcase. "Ready to go, sweetheart?" "Ready." The drive to the hospital was a blur of my mother's nervous chatter and my father's attempts at reassuring small talk. I sat in the back seat, watching familiar streets pass by, thinking about the timeline. Alejandro hadn't come home last night. He called my parents' house at 5:15 a.m. with an excuse about a client emergency. He would meet us at the hospital where he'd apparently spent the night with my sister, who needed my kidney to live. "Jolie?" Mom's voice cut through my thoughts. "I asked if you wanted to stop for coffee." "No, I'm fine." "You sure? You look pale." "I'm about to have surgery, Mom. I'm supposed to look pale." Dad caught my eye in the rearview mirror. "You're doing a beautiful thing, honey. Yara's so lucky to have a sister like you." Lucky. Right. We pulled into the hospital parking garage. Level 3, space 47. I memorized it, though I wasn't sure why. Maybe because I needed something concrete to hold on to while everything else felt like it was shifting. "There's Alejandro's car," Mom said, pointing to a familiar BMW 2 rows over. There it was. Proof that my husband had spent the night at the hospital while I lay awake in my childhood bedroom, wondering if I was losing my mind. "He must have gotten here early," Dad said. Probably wanted to check on you before the surgery. Check on me. Or say goodbye to Yara before she got my kidney and he lost his convenient excuse for late-night hospital visits. We walked through the automatic doors into the bright lobby. The smell of disinfectant and floor wax hit me immediately. In a few hours, I'd be breathing it through a surgical mask. Let's go find your husband, Mom said, linking her arm through mine. I'm sure he's worried sick about you. Worried sick. I almost laughed. We took the elevator to the third floor. Room 314 was at the end of the hall, and as we walked toward it, I could hear voices, familiar voices. Alejandro's laugh, Yara's giggle, the sound of two people who were very comfortable with each other. Mom knocked on the doorframe. Good morning, you two? I stepped into the room behind her and saw my husband sitting in the chair beside my sister's bed, holding her hand. Alejandro dropped Yara's hand like it was on fire. Jolie, there you are. He stood up quickly, smoothing his wrinkled shirt. I was just keeping Yara company. She couldn't sleep. Yara stretched in her hospital bed, completely unbothered. Hey, sis, ready for the big day? You look tired, honey, Mom said to Alejandro. Did you get any sleep at all? Not much. Work crisis. You know how it is. I watched him lie to my mother's face with the same easy smile he'd been giving me for months, the same smile he'd probably given Yara all night. Well, you're here now, Dad said, clapping Alejandro on the shoulder. That's what matters. Absolutely. I wouldn't miss this for the world. Alejandro moved toward me, arms outstretched for a hug. I stepped back. Jolie? Mom's voice carried that warning tone. Are you feeling all right? I'm fine. You don't look fine, Yara said from her bed. You look like you're about to throw up. Maybe I am. Nerves, Dad said quickly. Perfectly normal before surgery. Alejandro tried again to reach for me. Babe, come here. Let me. Don't. The word came out sharper than I intended. Everyone went quiet. Jolie, Mom said carefully, what's wrong? I looked around the room, at my parents who were staring at me with concern, at Yara who was watching me with something that might have been amusement, at Alejandro whose face had gone pale. Nothing's wrong. I just need some air. I walked out of the room and down the hall to the elevator. Behind me I could hear Mom's voice. Go after her, Alejandro. She's just scared. The elevator doors opened and I stepped inside. Before they could close, Alejandro slipped in beside me. Jolie, what's going on? I pressed the button for the ground floor. You tell me. I don't know what you mean. Where did you sleep last night? He was quiet for a moment. At the office. I told you there was a crisis with the Morrison account. The Morrison account? Yes. At midnight? It's an international deal. Different time zones. The elevator dinged. Ground floor. The doors opened and I walked out into the lobby. Alejandro followed. Jolie stopped. Talk to me. I turned around. I know. Know what? I know about you and Yara. His face went white. What are you talking about? I know you've been spending nights here. I know you didn't come home last night. I know you were in her room. I was visiting a sick family member. That's what people do. At midnight, holding her hand? She was scared. She needed comfort. From my husband. Jolie, you're being paranoid. The stress of the surgery is making you. Don't. I held up my hand. Don't you dare tell me I'm imagining this. He ran his hands through his hair. Okay, look, maybe I've been spending more time with Yara than usual, but she's dying, Jolie. She needed someone to talk to. About what? About things, her fears, her regrets. Her regrets about sleeping with her sister's husband? The words hung in the air between us. Alejandro's mouth opened and closed like a fish. I don't know what you think you saw. I didn't see anything. I didn't need to. Jenny told me. Jenny? The night nurse. She's been watching you sneak in and out of Yara's room for weeks. Alejandro's shoulders sagged. Jolie. How long? It's not what you think. How long, Alejandro? Since she got sick. 3 weeks. It just happened. We were both emotional in 3 weeks while I was planning to give her my kidney. That's exactly why we didn't tell you. We knew you'd react like this. React like what? Like a wife who just found out her husband is cheating on her with her dying sister? You're making it sound worse than it is. How could it possibly be worse? The elevator dinged again. Mom stepped out looking frantic. There you are. Jolie, honey, we need to get you upstairs for pre-op. I looked at her, then at Alejandro, then back at her. Mom, did you know? Know what? About Alejandro and Yara? Mom's face went very still. Jolie, this isn't the time. You knew. We need to focus on the surgery right now. You all knew. Jolie, please. Yara needs this kidney. She's going to die without it. And that makes it okay? It makes it irrelevant. You can deal with your marriage problems after your sister is healthy. I stared at my mother, at this woman who had raised me to be good, to be selfless, to put family first no matter what. You want me to give my kidney to the woman who's been sleeping with my husband. I want you to save your sister's life. Why? Because she's family, because it's the right thing to do. Is it? Mom grabbed my arm. Jolie, you're scheduled for surgery in 30 minutes. The doctors are waiting. Yara is waiting. I looked at Alejandro, who was staring at the floor. And after I give her my kidney and she recovers, what then? Then you figure out your life, Mom said, but right now you save hers. I nodded slowly. Okay, I'll do it. Mom's relief was visible. Thank you, honey. But I need to make a phone call first. To who? Dr. Ramirez. There's something I need to discuss with him about the procedure. I found Dr. Ramirez in his office reviewing surgical notes. He looked up when I knocked on his open door. Jolie, you're supposed to be in pre-op. I need to talk to you about something first. He gestured to the chair across from his desk. Of course, pre-surgery nerves are completely normal. It's not nerves. I sat down and folded my hands in my lap. I want to change the recipient. Dr. Ramirez blinked. I'm sorry? I don't want to give my kidney to Yara anymore. Jolie, we've been through all the compatibility testing. You're a perfect match for your sister. The surgery is scheduled to begin in 20 minutes. I understand that, but I want to donate to someone else instead. He leaned back in his chair. That's not how this works. You can't just switch recipients on the day of surgery. Why not? It's my kidney. Yes, but there are protocols, waiting lists, medical evaluations. Your sister is in critical condition. So are other people. Dr. Ramirez studied my face. Jolie, what's going on? Did something happen with your family? You could say that. Do you want to talk about it? No, I want to talk about the waiting list. He was quiet for a moment. There are currently 43 people waiting for kidney transplants at this hospital. Tell me about them. I can't share patient information. Then tell me about the process. If I wanted to donate to someone else, how would that work? Hypothetically? Sure. Dr. Ramirez pulled up something on his computer. We'd need to find a compatible recipient, run emergency compatibility tests, get consent from all parties. It would take days, maybe weeks. What if you already knew someone was compatible? How would I know that? Because you've been running compatibility tests on the waiting list for months, trying to find matches for everyone. He looked at me sharply. Have you been researching this? I've been researching a lot of things lately. Jolie, your sister will die without this transplant. You understand that, right? I understand that someone will die without a transplant. The question is who? That's not your decision to make, isn't it? It's my kidney. Dr. Ramirez closed his laptop. I think you need to talk to someone, a counselor maybe. This is a big decision and you're clearly under a lot of stress. I'm under stress because my husband has been sleeping with my sister for 3 weeks, and my entire family knew about it and decided not to tell me. The words came out flat and matter of fact. Dr. Ramirez's expression changed. Oh, yeah, oh, I'm sorry. That's terrible. It is, but it's also clarifying. How so? It's helped me realize that I've been making decisions based on what other people want instead of what I want. And what do you want? I want my kidney to go to someone who deserves it. Dr. Ramirez was quiet for a long moment. There's a woman on the list, Leah, single mother of twins. She's been waiting for 8 months. Is she compatible with me? I'd have to check. Check. He opened his laptop again and typed for a few minutes. Blood type O positive. Same as you, but I'd need to run full compatibility tests. How long would that take? A few hours for the basic panel. We could have results by this afternoon. Do it. Jolie, I can't just, yes, you can. I'm the donor. I'm withdrawing consent for the surgery with Yara and requesting to donate to Leah instead. Your family is going to be upset. My family has been upset with me my entire life. This is nothing new. Dr. Ramirez looked at his watch. I need to tell the surgical team. They're prepping your sister right now. Tell them. And your parents? Your husband? I'll handle them. Jolie, are you sure about this? Once we start the process, there's no going back. I'm sure. He picked up his phone. I need to call the lab and the transplant coordinator and probably the hospital administrator. Do what you need to do. This is going to cause a lot of problems. Good. Dr. Ramirez dialed a number. Sarah, it's Dr. Ramirez. I need an emergency compatibility workup for patient Leah McGregor and donor Jolie. Yes, I know the surgery is scheduled for now. There's been a change. He hung up and looked at me. They want to know if this is a medical decision or a personal one. What did you tell them? That it's the donor's decision, and that's all they need to know. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Your family is going to want answers. Let them want. His phone rang. He answered it, listened for a moment, then hung up. That was the surgical team. They want to know what to tell your sister. Tell her the surgery has been postponed. For how long? Indefinitely. Dr. Ramirez stood up. I need to go handle this. Are you going to be okay? I'm going to be fine. And your family? They're going to be exactly what they've always been. He paused at the door. For what it's worth, I think you're making the right choice. Why? Because in 30 years of doing this job, I've never seen someone donate an organ to someone who betrayed them and felt good about it afterward. And Leah? Leah is a good person who got dealt a bad hand. She works 2 jobs to support her kids and never complains. She deserves a chance. Then let's give her one. Dr. Ramirez nodded and left. I sat in his office for a moment, listening to the sounds of the hospital around me. In a few minutes, I'd have to go face my family and tell them what I'd done. But for now, I just sat in the quiet and felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. I found them in the surgical waiting area. Mom was pacing. Dad sat with his head in his hands. Alejandro was on his phone, probably texting Yara. There you are, Mom said when she saw me. Dr. Ramirez said the surgery was postponed. What's going on? I changed my mind. Changed your mind about what? About giving Yara my kidney. The waiting room went dead silent. A woman reading a magazine looked up. An elderly man paused his conversation with a nurse. "What do you mean you changed your mind?" Dad asked. "I mean, I'm not doing it." Mom's face went white. "Jolie, you can't be serious." "I'm completely serious." "But she'll die." "Maybe." "Maybe?" Alejandro finally looked up from his phone. "What do you mean, maybe?" "I mean, she'll go back on the waiting list like everyone else." "Jolie," Dad said carefully, "I think you need to sit down and think about this." "I've been thinking about it all morning." "You're upset about the Alejandro situation," Mom said. "I understand that, but you can't let your marriage problems affect your sister's health." "My marriage problems?" "Poor choice of words. You meant that finding out my husband is sleeping with my sister is just a marriage problem." The woman with the magazine got up and moved to a different section of the waiting room. "Keep your voice down," Mom hissed. "Why? Embarrassed?" "This is a hospital." "Yes, it is. And in this hospital there are dozens of people who need kidneys, people who haven't been sleeping with their donors' husbands." Alejandro stood up. "Jolie, can we talk privately?" "No." "Please, just for a minute." I said no. "You're being irrational." "Am I?" "Let me ask you something, Alejandro. When you were in Yara's room last night, did you think about me at all?" "Of course I did." "Did you think about the fact that I was lying awake, worried about the surgery?" "Yes." "Did you think about the fact that I was about to give up a piece of my body to save the woman you're cheating on me with?" He didn't answer. "Did you think about any of that while you were holding her hand?" "Jolie, please." "Because I was thinking about you. I was thinking about how lucky I was to have a supportive husband during this difficult time." Mom stepped between us. "Enough! This isn't helping anyone." "You're right. It's not helping Yara." "That's not what I meant." "But it's what you're worried about, isn't it? Not me, not my feelings, just Yara." "She's dying." "So are other people." "Not other people in our family." "Right, because family is everything. Family comes first. Family forgives and forgets and sacrifices." "Yes." "Even when family betrays you?" Mom's jaw tightened. Yara made a mistake. "A mistake?" "She's been sick and scared and not thinking clearly." "For 3 weeks?" "Yes." "And Alejandro? Was he sick and scared too?" "He was trying to be supportive." "By sleeping with my sister. By being there for her when she needed someone." I stared at my mother. "Do you hear yourself?" "I hear someone who's letting anger cloud her judgment." "Good. I'm glad you can hear that, because I am angry." "Jolie." "I'm angry that my sister has been sleeping with my husband. I'm angry that you all knew and didn't tell me. I'm angry that you expect me to just get over it and hand over my kidney anyway." "Because it's the right thing to do." "According to who?" "According to basic human decency." "Basic human decency? Like not sleeping with your sister's husband?" Mom's face flushed. "That's different." "How?" "Because this is about life and death. My life, my death, my kidney. Your sister's life. My sister who betrayed me. Your sister who needs you. My sister who chose Alejandro over me. She didn't choose anything, it just happened." "Things don't just happen, Mom. People make choices." Dad finally spoke up. "Jolie, honey, I know you're hurt, but Yara is your baby sister. You've always looked out for her." "And look where it got me. It got you a family who loves you. A family who loves me so much they hid my husband's affair from me. We were trying to protect you." "From what?" "From exactly this. From making a decision you'll regret." "The only thing I regret is not making this decision sooner." Alejandro's phone buzzed. He looked at it and his face went pale. "What?" Mom asked. "It's from Yara. She wants to know what's happening." "Tell her," I said. "Tell her what?" "Tell her that her sister isn't giving her a kidney anymore." "I can't tell her that." "Why not?" "Because it'll kill her." "No, kidney failure will kill her. I'm just not preventing it anymore." Mom grabbed my arm. "Jolie, please think about what you're doing." "I am thinking about it. For the first time in my life, I'm thinking about what I want instead of what everyone else wants." "And what you want is to let your sister die." "What I want is to give my kidney to someone who deserves it." "She deserves it. She's your sister." "She's also a liar and a cheat. She's family. So am I." The words hung in the air. Mom's grip on my arm loosened. "You are," she said quietly. "Then act like it." "What do you mean?" "I mean choose me for once. Support my decision. Tell me I'm doing the right thing." Mom looked at Dad, then at Alejandro, then back at me. "I can't do that?" "I know." "Jolie." "It's okay, Mom. I already knew what you choose." I turned and walked toward the elevator. Behind me, I could hear Alejandro calling my name, but I didn't turn around. The elevator doors opened and I stepped inside. As they closed, I saw my family standing in the waiting room, looking lost. For the first time in my life, that wasn't my problem to solve. 3 days later, I was in my hospital bed recovering from surgery when the news story broke. Anonymous donor saves struggling single mother in miraculous act of compassion, the reporter announced from the TV mounted on the wall. Leah McGregor, a waitress and mother of twin 7-year-olds, received a life-saving kidney transplant yesterday from a donor who wishes to remain anonymous. The camera showed a woman with tired eyes and a grateful smile, sitting in a hospital bed identical to mine. Her 2 kids were coloring at a small table beside her. "I don't know who you are," Leah said, looking directly into the camera, "but you saved my life. You saved my children's mother. I will never be able to thank you enough." My phone started ringing. "Mom," I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. "Dad," voicemail. Again, "Alejandro." I turned the phone off. A knock at my door. "Come in." Stephanie walked in carrying a coffee and a newspaper. "Thought you might want to see this." She handed me the local paper. The headline read, "Mystery. Donor gives gift of life to local mom." Below it was a photo of Leah with her twins. "The whole town is talking about it," Stephanie said. "Everyone's trying to figure out who the donor is." "Good. Your family's been calling the office. They want to know where you are." "What did you tell them?" "That you're recovering and don't want visitors." "Thank you." Stephanie sat in the chair beside my bed. "How are you feeling?" "Physically? Sore. Emotionally? Better than I have in years." "No regrets?" "None." "Even about Yara?" I looked at the TV, where they were now interviewing Leah's boss at the diner. He was saying what a hard worker she was, how she never missed a shift even when she was sick. Especially about Yara. "She's been calling the office too, crying." "I'm sure she has." "She says she's sorry." "I'm sure she is." "Are you going to talk to her?" "No." Stephanie nodded. "What about Alejandro?" "What about him?" "He came by yesterday. I told him you were sleeping." "I was." "He looked terrible." "Good." "He says he wants to explain." "There's nothing to explain. He made his choice." "And you made yours." "Yes." The news story ended and moved on to weather. Stephanie picked up the remote and muted the TV. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Sure." "When did you know about them?" "I suspected for weeks, but I knew for sure the night before the original surgery." "And you still went through with the donation?" "I went through with the donation, just not the one they expected." "That's cold." "Is it?" "In the best possible way." My phone lit up with a text message. Even with the sound off, I could see it was from Mom. "They're not going to give up." Stephanie said. I know. What are you going to do? Nothing. I'm going to recover, go back to work, and live my life. And if they keep calling, they'll get tired of it eventually. Another knock at the door. Dr. Ramirez peeked in. How are you feeling, Jolie? Good. Ready to go home? Tomorrow morning, your recovery is going perfectly. He stepped into the room. I wanted to let you know that Leah is doing well too. The kidney is functioning beautifully. I'm glad. She asked me to give you this. He handed me a sealed envelope. She knows you want to remain anonymous, but she wanted you to have it anyway. I took the envelope. Thank you. There's something else. Your family has been asking about visiting ours. I don't want visitors. I told them that, but they're persistent. How persistent? Your mother tried to get past the nurse's station twice yesterday. Your husband has been calling every hour. And Yara, she's been moved to a different floor. Her condition is stable for now. For now? She's back on the waiting list. It could be months before another compatible donor is found. Or years. Or years. I nodded. That's not my problem anymore. Dr. Ramirez looked uncomfortable. Jolie, I have to ask, are you sure about this? I mean, really sure? Why? Because in all my years doing this job, I've never seen a family situation quite like this one. What do you mean? I mean, most families pull together during medical crises. They don't fall apart. Most families don't have sisters who sleep with their donors' husbands. True. Dr. Ramirez, do you think I made the wrong choice? He was quiet for a moment. I think you made the choice that was right for you, and I think Leah deserved that kidney as much as anyone. But your sister is still going to die without a transplant. People die every day waiting for transplants. Yes, they do. And I can't save them all. No, you can't. So I saved the one I wanted to save. Dr. Ramirez nodded. I respect that. After he left, I opened Leah's letter. It was written in careful handwriting on hospital stationery. Dear anonymous angel, it began, I don't know your name or your story, but I know you saved my life. My children will grow up with their mother because of you. I will never forget this gift. I promise to live a life worthy of your sacrifice. With all my love and gratitude, Leah. At the bottom, she'd drawn 2 stick figures labeled Emma and Jake, holding hands with a taller stick figure labeled Mommy. I folded the letter and put it in my bedside drawer. Stephanie was watching me. Good letter? Perfect letter. Better than the voicemails from your family? Much better. My phone lit up again. This time it was a text from a number I didn't recognize. This is Yara. Please call me. I'm begging you. I showed the text to Stephanie. New phone? Probably borrowed from a nurse. Are you going to respond? I deleted the message. Already did. 2 weeks after I got home from the hospital, I invited my family to dinner. The text I sent was simple. Sunday dinner at my house, 6 p.m. We need to talk. They all showed up. Of course they did. Mom arrived first, carrying a casserole dish like this was a normal family gathering. Dad followed with a bottle of wine. Alejandro came last, looking like he hadn't slept in days. Where's Yara? I asked as they settled around my dining room table. She's too weak to travel, Mom said. The dialysis has taken a lot out of her. I'm sure it is. I'd made pot roast, Yara's favorite. The irony wasn't lost on me. Jolie, Dad started, we're glad you called. We've been worried about you. Have you? Of course we have, Mom said. You disappeared from the hospital. You won't return our calls. I needed space. We understand that, Alejandro said, but we need to talk about what happened. Do we? Yes. We need to figure out how to move forward. I served the pot roast in silence. The same plates I'd used for every family dinner for the past 3 years. The same napkins, the same routine. This looks delicious, Dad said. Thank you. Just like Yara used to make, Mom added. Yara never cooked. Well, no, but she always said she wanted to learn your recipe. I sat down and picked up my fork. Eat. They ate. I watched them eat. The same people who sat at this table dozens of times, acting like nothing had changed. Jolie, Mom said finally, we need to discuss the situation. Which situation? The kidney situation. What about it? You gave it to a stranger. I gave it to someone who needed it. Yara needed it. Yara wanted it. There's a difference. Alejandro set down his fork. Jolie, I know you're angry with me, with us, but Yara is innocent in this. Innocent? She didn't know about us, not at first. When did she find out? Find out what? That you were married to me. Alejandro's face went red. That's not. She's always known that. So she knew you were married when she started sleeping with you. It wasn't like that. What was it like? It was complicated. Complicated how? She was scared, dying. She needed comfort. From my husband. From someone who cared about her. And you cared about her. Yes. More than you cared about me. That's not true, isn't it? You spent 3 weeks sneaking into her hospital room, 3 weeks lying to me about where you were, 3 weeks planning to let me give her my kidney while you were sleeping with her. I never planned any of this, but you didn't stop it. No? And you didn't tell me. No? Because you didn't want me to change my mind about the donation. Alejandro was quiet. Answer me. Yes? Mom put down her fork. Jolie, that's enough. Is it? Yes, you've made your point. What point is that? That you're hurt, that you're angry. We get it. Do you? Yes, but now we need to focus on solutions. Solutions to what? To helping Yara. I already helped Yara. I helped her by not giving her my kidney. That's not helping. Sure it is. I helped her learn that actions have consequences. Dad cleared his throat. Jolie, honey, I know this is hard, but Yara is your sister. So? So family forgives. Does it? Yes. Did you forgive me when I failed my driving test twice? That's different. How? That was just a test. And you lectured me for weeks about responsibility and preparation because we wanted you to do better. Did you forgive me when I got a B in calculus? Jolie, where are you going with this? You made me get a tutor. You took away my car privileges. You said I was disappointing the family. We had high expectations for you. But Yara sleeps with my husband and I should just forgive her because she's family. She's dying. People die every day. Not our people. Why not? Mom stared at me. What do you mean, why not? I mean, why are our people special? Why do they get to hurt others without consequences? Because they're family. And what am I? Your family too. Am I? Because it doesn't feel like it. I stood up and walked to the kitchen. When I came back, I was carrying a manila folder. What's that? Alejandro asked. Text messages? What text messages? I opened the folder and pulled out printed screenshots. Your text messages, yours and Yara's. Alejandro went white. How did you get those? You left your phone unlocked one night. I forwarded them to myself. You went through my phone. I went through my husband's phone, and I found some interesting things. I spread the screenshots on the table. This one's from 2 months ago. Can't wait to see you tonight. Jay will never know. Mom picked up one of the papers. Jolie, you don't need to do this. This one's from last month. She's so clueless. It's almost sad. Stop. And this one's from the night before the surgery. After tomorrow, we won't have to sneak around anymore. She'll be too weak to cause problems. The room went completely silent. You planned this, I said to Alejandro. You planned to let me give Yara my kidney so you could be with her without me interfering. Jolie. And you, I said to my parents, you knew, you all knew, and you decided I was expendable. That's not true, Dad said. Isn't it? You were willing to let me sacrifice my health for someone who was betraying me. We thought it was the right thing to do. For who? For everyone. Everyone except me. I gathered up the screenshots and put them back in the folder. I want you all to leave now. Jolie, Mom said, we can work through this. No, we can't. Yes, we can. We're family. You keep saying that word. I don't think it means what you think it means. It means we love each other. Does it? Because I don't feel very loved right now. We do love you. You love what I do for you. You love that I'm reliable and stable and willing to sacrifice myself for Yara. But you don't love me. That's not true. Prove it. How? Choose me. For once in your lives, choose me over Yara. Mom looked at Dad. Dad looked at Alejandro. Alejandro stared at the table. We can't do that, Mom said finally. I know. She's dying, Jolie, and I'm done. I walked to the front door and opened it. Please leave. They filed out one by one. Alejandro paused at the door. Jolie, I'm sorry. I know you are. Can we try to work this out? No. Why not? Because sorry doesn't give me my kidney back, and it doesn't give me my family back. We're still your family. No, you're not. You're Yara's family. You always have been. I closed the door and locked it. Through the window, I watched them stand in my driveway for a few minutes talking. Then they got in their cars and drove away. I went back to the dining room and cleared the table. The pot roast was barely touched, just like every other dinner I'd ever made for them. The divorce papers arrived on a Tuesday. Alejandro had finally stopped calling. I was at my kitchen table, drinking coffee and reading about Leah in the local paper again. She'd started a support group for single parents dealing with medical crises. The article mentioned her anonymous guardian angel who'd given her a second chance at life. My phone buzzed. Stephanie, turn on Channel 7 now. I grabbed the remote and flipped to the local news. The anchor was standing outside the hospital. In a shocking turn of events, local investment banker Alejandro Boyd has been terminated from his position at Morrison Financial following an internal investigation into ethics violations. I nearly choked on my coffee. Sources close to the investigation say Boyd was found to have been manipulating client accounts to cover personal expenses, including what appears to be significant gambling debts. The investigation was reportedly triggered by an anonymous tip received last month. The camera cut to footage of Alejandro leaving the Morrison building with a cardboard box. My phone rang. Stephanie. Did you see it? I'm watching it now. Anonymous tip, huh? I have no idea what you're talking about. Sure you don't. How did you know about the gambling? I didn't, but I knew about the credit card bills he was hiding and the mysterious cash withdrawals. I just connected some dots. And sent them to his boss. I sent them to the ethics hotline. What they did with the information was up to them. The news story continued. Alejandro's face filled the screen, looking haggard and defeated. Boyd could not be reached for comment, but sources say he may face criminal charges if the investigation reveals evidence of fraud. Damn, Stephanie said. Remind me never to cross you. He crossed me first. What about your parents? Have they tried to contact you? Mom calls every few days. I don't answer. And Yara? Still on dialysis, still waiting for a kidney. Any regrets? I looked at the framed photo on my counter. It was from the hospital newsletter. Leah with her twins at a park, all three of them healthy and smiling. The caption read, "Kidney recipient Leah McGregor enjoys a day out with her children, Emma and Jake, thanks to an anonymous donor's life-changing gift." None. Good. You want to grab lunch today? Can't. I have an appointment. With who? A lawyer. About the divorce? About something else? I hung up and finished getting ready. The law office was downtown in one of those old buildings with marble floors and wood paneling that was supposed to make you feel important. The lawyer, Patricia, was younger than I expected. She spread papers across her desk. "The restraining order is pretty straightforward," she said. "Your husband can't contact you, can't come to your house, can't show up at your work." "What about my parents?" "That's trickier. They haven't threatened you or done anything illegal, but we can send a cease and desist letter if you want." "I want." "And the other matter?" "I want to change my will." "To remove your husband as beneficiary?" "To remove everyone. I want everything to go to the Children's Hospital, specifically to the kidney transplant program." Patricia made notes. "Any particular reason?" "I want to help kids who actually deserve help." "And if your family contests it?" "Let them try." I signed the papers and walked back to my car. The sun was shining, and for the first time in months I felt like I could breathe. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Mom. Please call me. Yara's in the hospital again. It's bad this time." I stared at the message for a long moment, then I deleted it. Another text came through immediately. "She's asking for you." Delete. "Please, Jolie. She's your sister." Delete. "She says she's sorry." I turned off my phone and drove home. That evening I was watering my plants when someone knocked on my door. Through the peephole I saw a woman I didn't recognize holding the hand of a small boy. I opened the door. "Are you Jolie?" "Yes." "I'm Leah. This is Jake." The boy waved shyly. He had his mother's eyes. "I know I'm not supposed to know who you are," Leah said, "but Dr. Ramirez let it slip when I was asking about sending you another thank you card." "You didn't need to come here." "Yes, I did." She looked nervous. "I wanted to tell you something." "What?" "I know about your sister." I went very still. "What do you know?" "I know she was supposed to get your kidney. I know you changed your mind. I know people are probably telling you that you made the wrong choice." "And?" "And I wanted you to know that you didn't. You saved my life, but more than that, you saved my children's lives. They get to keep their mother because of you." Jake tugged on her hand. "Tell her about the drawing." Leah smiled and pulled a folded paper from her pocket. "Jake made this for you." I unfolded it. It was a crayon drawing of 3 stick figures under a rainbow. One was labeled Mommy, one was Emma, and one was Jake. Above them, in careful child handwriting, it said, "Thank you for saving our family." "We can't stay long," Leah said, "but I wanted you to know that what you did mattered. It mattered to us." "Thank you." "No, thank you." They walked back to their car, Jake skipping beside his mother. I watched them drive away, then went inside and put the drawing on my refrigerator. My phone was still off. I left it that way. Instead, I opened my laptop and started typing. I was about to donate my kidney to my sister when I found out she was sleeping with my husband. I wrote for 2 hours, telling the whole story. When I finished, I read it over once, then posted it to Reddit. The responses started coming in immediately. "You're a hero." "Your family is toxic." "You did the right thing." "That woman and her kids are alive because of you." I closed the laptop and went to bed. The next morning, there was an envelope slipped under my door. No return address. Inside was a single sheet of paper with 2 words written in Yara's handwriting, "I'm sorry." I crumpled it up and threw it away. Then I made coffee, sat at my kitchen table, and looked at Jake's drawing on my refrigerator. Some apologies come too late. Some choices can't be undone. Some people don't deserve forgiveness. And sometimes that's exactly how it should be. I opened my laptop and checked my Reddit post. It had thousands of upvotes and hundreds of comments. People sharing their own stories of family betrayal, of choosing themselves over toxic relatives, of learning that blood doesn't always mean loyalty. At the top of the comments was one that made me smile. "You didn't just save that woman's life, you saved your own." I closed the laptop and went to water my plants. They were thriving.
The champagne flute trembled in my hand as my mother-in-law stood up, tapping her knife against the crystal with that practiced smile she reserved for public performances. "I'd like to make a toast," Naomi announced, her voice carrying across the baby shower like she was addressing the United Nations instead of 30 women crammed into her living room. "To my beautiful daughter Emerson, who's finally giving us the grandchild we've all been waiting for. My name is Brooke, and I should have seen it coming." After 7 years of marriage to Mason, I knew exactly how these family gatherings played out. But somehow, I still wasn't prepared for what came next. "You know," Naomi continued, her eyes finding mine across the room, "some women are just natural mothers. They understand their purpose." She paused, letting that word hang in the air like smoke. "And then there are others who, well, let's just say career ambitions don't keep you warm at night or carry on the family name." The room went dead silent. Even the ice in my drink seemed to stop clinking. "Mother," Mason whispered from beside me, but his voice had all the authority of a deflated balloon. "Oh, I'm not being mean," Naomi laughed, that tinkling sound she made when she was about to deliver her killing blow. "I'm just saying that some of us are blessed with fertility and others—" She shrugged, as if my supposed barrenness was just an unfortunate weather pattern. "Well, Brooke, honey, you're 33. Maybe it's time to accept that motherhood just isn't in God's plan for you." The words hit like a slap. Around me, women shifted uncomfortably in their seats, suddenly fascinated by their manicures or the floral arrangements. My sister-in-law Emerson sat in her throne of pastel ribbons and gift wrap, one hand resting on her 6-month bump, looking anywhere but at me. "To Emerson," Naomi raised her glass higher, "our family's blessing and future." Everyone drank. Everyone except me. My hand moved instinctively to my purse, fingers brushing against the manila envelope I'd been carrying for 3 weeks, the envelope that contained a single sheet of paper that would change everything. "Brooke?" Mason's voice was barely audible. "You okay?" I looked at my husband, really looked at him. His face was flushed with embarrassment, but not the kind that comes from righteous anger. This was the flush of someone who'd been caught in the middle and chosen the easy way out. Again. "I'm fine," I said, standing up. "Just need to freshen up." The bathroom was my sanctuary, the only place in this house where I could breathe without inhaling Naomi's passive-aggressive poison. I stared at my reflection in the mirror, brown hair still perfectly styled, makeup intact, but my eyes looked like they belonged to someone who'd been holding her breath underwater for 7 years. My phone buzzed. A text from Zariah. "How's the shower from hell going? Still planning to keep the peace?" I almost laughed. Keep the peace? That's what I'd been doing since the day I married Mason. Keeping the peace while Naomi made little comments about my selfishness for wanting to establish my marketing career before having kids. Keeping the peace when she'd introduced me to her friends as Mason's wife who works, with that particular emphasis that made it sound like a character flaw. Keeping the peace through every family dinner where Emerson was praised for her natural maternal instincts while I was treated like the family disappointment. But 3 weeks ago, I'd stumbled onto something that shattered my commitment to peacekeeping forever. I'd been at Emerson's apartment, dropping off some maternity clothes she'd requested, when her phone kept buzzing on the kitchen counter. The screen lit up with message after message from someone named Rogelio. The preview text that caught my eye read, "Can't wait to see you tonight. Tanner working late again?" My blood had turned to ice water. Rogelio Fleming. I knew that name. He worked with Emerson at the marketing firm downtown. I'd met him at a few company parties, charming, handsome, and definitely not her husband. What I did next wasn't planned. It was pure instinct. While Emerson was in the shower, I took photos of those messages. Dozens of them, going back months. Messages that painted a very clear picture of an affair that had been going on since before her wedding. And then I did something that would have horrified the old me, the peacekeeping me. I arranged for a prenatal DNA test. It wasn't hard. A few strategic questions about her doctor's appointments, a friend who worked in medical billing, and access to Emerson's purse during a family dinner. The results came back exactly as I'd suspected. Tanner Duncan, that sweet, trusting man who'd been glowing with pride for months about becoming a father, wasn't the father at all. Another knock on the bathroom door. "Brooke, you've been in there a while." Mason's voice, concerned but not concerned enough to actually defend me out there. "Coming," I called back. I pulled the envelope from my purse and stared at it one more time. Inside was proof that would destroy Emerson's perfect image, shatter Tanner's world, and expose Naomi's golden child for exactly what she was. The question was, did I have the courage to use it? I opened the bathroom door and walked back into the living room, where Emerson was opening gifts with theatrical enthusiasm. Naomi was holding court near the gift table, probably still basking in the afterglow of her public humiliation of me. "Oh, good, you're back," Emerson called out sweetly. "I was just about to open your gift." I smiled, my hand tightening around the envelope. "Actually, I have something even more special for you and Tanner." The room fell silent as I walked toward the gift table, envelope in hand. Emerson's smile faltered slightly, but she kept up her performance. "Oh, how sweet. What is it?" she asked, reaching for the envelope with manicured fingers. "Just open it," I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. Tanner leaned forward from his spot on the couch, that eager expression he always wore when it came to anything baby-related. "Is it photos? Did you make us a scrapbook?" "Something like that," I replied. Emerson tore open the envelope with theatrical flair, clearly expecting some sentimental gift she could gush over. The paper crinkled as she pulled out the single sheet inside. Her face went white. "What is it, honey?" Tanner asked, standing up and moving toward her. Emerson's hands were shaking now, the paper trembling between her fingers. This is—" "What does it say?" Naomi demanded, stepping closer. "Emerson, what's wrong?" Tanner reached for the paper, but Emerson jerked it away. "No, it's nothing, just a joke." "Let me see it," Tanner said, his voice firmer now. The confusion in his eyes was already shifting to something darker. "Tanner, please, it's not—" He grabbed the paper from her hands. The silence stretched as he read, his face cycling through confusion, disbelief, and finally devastation. "What the hell is this?" he whispered. "What does it say?" Naomi practically shrieked, lunging for the paper. Tanner held it away from her, his eyes locked on Emerson. "It's a DNA test. It says, I'm not the father." The room erupted. Gasps, whispers, the sound of someone's drink hitting the floor. Naomi's face went through about 6 different expressions before settling on rage. "This is sick," she spat, whirling on me. "What kind of twisted joke is this, Brooke? Are you so jealous that you'd forge medical documents?" "I didn't forge anything," I said calmly. "You're lying," Naomi's voice cracked. "You're just bitter because you can't have children of your own, so you're trying to destroy—" "The lab is Precision Genetics on 5th Street," I interrupted. Dr. Martinez handled the testing personally. The confirmation number is right there at the bottom. Tanner was staring at the paper like it might change if he looked hard enough. This can't be real. Emerson, tell me, this isn't real. Emerson's mouth opened and closed like a fish. Tears were streaming down her face, but she couldn't seem to form words. "Tell him," I said quietly. "Shut up!" Naomi screamed. "You don't get to speak. You've done enough damage." "Have I?" I asked, my voice still maddeningly calm. "Because I'm not the one who's been lying for months." "Emerson," Tanner's voice broke, "please, just tell me this is fake." She looked up at him, mascara streaking down her cheeks. "Tanner, I can explain." "Oh my God," he stumbled backward. "Oh my God, it's true." "It was a mistake," Emerson cried, reaching for him. "It didn't mean anything." "A mistake?" Tanner's voice rose. "A mistake that lasted how long? How long, Emerson?" "Tanner, please." "How long?" 6 months, she whispered. The room was dead silent except for someone's quiet sobbing. I think it was Stacy, Mason's cousin, who always cried at movies. 6 months, Tanner repeated numbly. "Our entire engagement, our wedding. You've been lying to me for 6 months." "I love you," Emerson sobbed. "I love you so much, and I was going to tell you." "When?" Tanner demanded. "When were you going to tell me I was raising another man's child?" I hoped maybe it was yours." "You hoped?" His voice cracked. "You hoped?" Mason finally found his voice. "Brooke, how could you do this? Here, in front of everyone?" I turned to look at my husband, this man who'd sat silently while his mother called me barren, who'd never once defended me in 7 years of marriage. "Where else should I have done it, Mason? In private, so you could all convince me to keep quiet? So Tanner could spend the next 18 years raising a child that isn't his?" "That's not your decision to make," Naomi shrieked. "Isn't it?" I asked. "When you spent the last hour telling everyone what a failure I am? When you've spent years making me feel like I'm broken because I chose to focus on my career?" "This isn't about you," Emerson cried. "No," I agreed. "It's about Tanner. It's about the fact that he deserves to know the truth before he signs a birth certificate." Tanner was backing toward the door, shaking his head. "I can't. I need to go. I need to think." "Tanner, wait!" Emerson struggled to get up from her chair, her belly making it awkward. "Please, we can work through this." "Work through this?" He stopped at the door. "You cheated on me for 6 months. You married me knowing you might be carrying another man's child. What exactly are we supposed to work through?" "I made a mistake." "No," he said quietly. "A mistake is forgetting to pick up milk. This is betrayal." He left, the door slamming behind him. The sound seemed to break whatever spell had held the room frozen. "Look what you've done!" Naomi hissed at me. "Look what you've destroyed!" "I didn't destroy anything," I said, grabbing my purse. "I just stopped pretending it wasn't already broken." Mason caught my arm as I headed for the door. "Brooke, wait. We need to talk about this." I looked down at his hand on my arm, then back up at his face. "Do we? Because you've had plenty of chances to talk. You've had 7 years to stand up for me, and you chose silence every single time." "That's not fair." "Fair?" I laughed, and it sounded bitter even to my own ears. "Your mother just called me barren in front of 30 people, and you think I'm being unfair?" I pulled my arm free and walked out, leaving behind the wreckage of Emerson's perfect baby shower and the illusion of the perfect family that had never really existed at all. I made it exactly 3 blocks before my phone started ringing. Mason's name flashed on the screen, but I let it go to voicemail. Then it rang again, and again. By the time I pulled into my driveway, I had 14 missed calls and a string of increasingly frantic text messages. "Brooke, please come back. We need to fix this." "Mom is having a panic attack. This is insane. How could you humiliate our family like this?" I was deleting the messages when Zariah's car pulled up behind mine. She got out, took one look at my face and whistled low. "Holy shit, you actually did it." I did it, I confirmed, my voice hollow. How bad was the fallout? Tanner walked out, Emerson had a complete breakdown, Naomi accused me of forging the results. Zariah followed me into the house. And Mason? Mason asked me how I could humiliate our family like this. I dropped my purse on the kitchen counter. Not his sister, not his mother, our family. Jesus. Zariah opened my fridge and pulled out a bottle of wine. Okay, walk me through it. Start from the beginning. I told her everything. Naomi's toast, the envelope, Emerson's face when she read the results, Tanner's devastation. By the time I finished, we'd made a serious dent in the wine. So what happens now? Zariah asked. Now? Now I wait for the real shitstorm to begin. As if on cue, my phone rang. Mason again. You should probably answer that, Zariah said. I hit accept. What? Brooke, thank God. Where are you? Home? I'm coming over. We need to talk. Do we? Because I feel like we've said everything we need to say. Please, just give me a chance to explain. Explain what, Mason? How you sat there while your mother called me barren. How you've never once defended me in 7 years. That's not fair. Stop saying that, I snapped. Stop telling me what's fair when you've never had to live with their judgment. Brooke, please. I'm already in the car. Just don't leave, okay? The line went dead. I stared at the phone, then at Zariah. He's coming over, I said. Want me to stay? No, this is something I need to handle alone. Zariah hugged me tight. Call me if you need backup. I mean it. After she left, I sat in my living room, staring at the wall and trying to process what I'd just done. The silence felt strange after the chaos of the afternoon. Mason's key turned in the lock 20 minutes later. He walked in looking like he'd aged 5 years in the span of 2 hours. Brooke, how's Emerson? I asked. He stopped, clearly thrown by the question. She's not good. Mum took her to the hospital. She was having contractions. Stress-induced? The doctors think so. They're monitoring her overnight. I nodded. And Tanner? He's not answering his phone. His brother said he's staying with them for a few days. Good. He needs space to process this. Mason stared at me. Good. Brooke, you just destroyed his marriage. No, Mason. Emerson destroyed his marriage. I just made sure he found out before he signed a birth certificate. You could have told him privately. When? When would have been the right time? After the baby was born? After he'd bonded with a child that isn't his? Mason sat down heavily on the couch. This isn't like you. You're not vindictive. Aren't I? I asked. Maybe you don't know me as well as you think. I know you're angry about what Mum said. What your mother said was the final straw, Mason, not the beginning. He looked up at me, confusion written across his face. What do you mean? I mean I've been dealing with her passive-aggressive bullshit for 7 years. The comments about my career. The implications that I'm selfish for not having kids yet. The way she introduces me to people like I'm some kind of disappointment. She doesn't mean... Yes, she does. I sat down across from him. She absolutely means it. And you know what the worst part is? You let her. That's not true. Name one time, Mason. One single time you've defended me to your mother. He opened his mouth, then closed it. The silence stretched between us. I thought so, I said quietly. I don't like conflict, he said finally. You know that about me. I know, but marriage isn't supposed to be conflict-free, Mason. It's supposed to be you and me against the world. Instead, it's been me against your family while you hide in the corner. I don't hide. You do. You hide behind your discomfort with confrontation while I get torn apart piece by piece. Mason's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and winced. It's Mom. She wants to know if you're going to apologize to Emerson. I laughed and it came out sharp and bitter. Apologize? For what? For telling the truth? For humiliating her in front of the entire family. She humiliated herself, Mason. I just provided the evidence. His phone buzzed again, then again. Answer it, I said. Brooke, answer it. Let's hear what Naomi has to say. Mason reluctantly swiped to accept the call. Hi, Mom. Even from across the room, I could hear Naomi's voice, high and shrill. Is she there? Is that woman there? Mum, please. Put me on speaker. I want to talk to her. Mason looked at me helplessly. I nodded. You're on speaker, Mom. Brooke. Naomi's voice filled the room like poison. I hope you're proud of yourself. My daughter is in the hospital because of your jealous little stunt. Is she okay? I asked. Don't you dare pretend to care. You've done enough damage. I asked if she's okay. The baby's fine, no thanks to you. But Emerson is devastated. Her marriage is over, her reputation is ruined, and it's all because you couldn't stand to see someone else be happy. Someone else be happy? I repeated. Naomi, your daughter was cheating on her husband. She was going to let him raise another man's child. How is that happiness? That's not your business. It became my business when you spent the afternoon telling everyone what a failure I am. You are a failure, Naomi screamed. You're a selfish, barren woman who can't stand to see a real woman succeed. The line went quiet. Even Mason looked shocked. There it is, I said softly. The truth finally. Mum, Mason said, his voice strained. You can't say things like that. I can say whatever I want. She destroyed our family. No, I said, standing up. I saved Tanner from a lifetime of lies, and I saved myself from pretending this family was ever going to accept me. I walked to the door and grabbed my keys. Where are you going? Mason asked. Somewhere I can think clearly, without your mother's voice in my head. Brooke, wait! But I was already gone. I drove to the 24-hour diner on Maple Street and sat in a corner booth, nursing coffee and trying to make sense of the wreckage I'd created. My phone had been buzzing non-stop, but I'd turned it face down on the table. Around midnight, Zariah slid into the seat across from me. How did you find me? I asked. You always come here when you need to think. Plus, Mason called me in a panic when you didn't come home. I'm not ready to go back. I'm not here to drag you home. I'm here because you look like you're about to fall apart. The waitress refilled my coffee cup for the 4th time. I wrapped my hands around it, grateful for the warmth. Did I do the right thing? I asked. You did the honest thing. Whether it was right? That's not for me to decide. Tanner deserved to know. Yes, he did. But maybe not like that. Not in front of everyone. Zariah reached across the table and squeezed my hand. Brooke, you've been swallowing their poison for 7 years. You finally spat it back out. Was it messy? Yeah, but sometimes messy is the only way to get clean. My phone lit up with another call. Mason again. You should probably talk to him, Zariah said. I swiped to answer. What? Brooke, please come home. We need to figure this out. There's nothing to figure out, Mason. Your mother made her feelings about me very clear. She was upset. She didn't mean... She meant every word, and you know it. Where are you? I'll come get you. I'm fine where I am. Brooke, please, I know you're angry, but running away isn't going to solve anything. I'm not running away. I'm taking space to think about whether I want to keep living like this. The line went quiet. What does that mean? It means I'm tired, Mason. I'm tired of being the villain in your family's story. I'm tired of being treated like I'm broken because I wanted to establish my career before having kids. I'm tired of you standing by while your mother tears me down. I'll talk to her. I'll make her apologize. You'll make her? Mason, she's 58 years old. If she doesn't understand why what she said was wrong, your making her apologize isn't going to change anything. Then what do you want me to do? I want you to choose, me or them, because I can't keep living in the middle anymore. That's not fair. Stop saying that, I snapped, loud enough that other diners turned to look. Stop telling me what's fair when you've never had to live with their judgment. Brooke, I hung up and turned the phone off completely. Feel better? Zariah asked. No, but at least I don't have to listen to him tell me I'm being unfair. What are you going to do? I don't know. Go home eventually, I guess. Face whatever comes next. And if Mason doesn't choose you? I stared into my coffee cup. Then I guess I'll know where I stand. We sat in comfortable silence for a while. Around 2 a.m., Zariah drove me home. Mason's car was in the driveway, but the house was dark. You sure you're okay? She asked. I will be, one way or another. I let myself in quietly, expecting Mason to be asleep. Instead, I found him sitting at the kitchen table staring at his phone. You're up, I said. Couldn't sleep? He looked up at me, and I could see the exhaustion in his eyes. Emerson's been texting me all night. What does she want? She wants to know if you're going to tell Rogelio about the baby. I sat down across from him. I hadn't thought about it. She's terrified he'll want custody, or that he'll want nothing to do with it. Maybe she should have thought about that before she cheated. Mason winced. She's still my sister, Brooke. I know, and I'm still your wife. The question is which one of those relationships matters more to you. It's not that simple. It is that simple. Your mother called me barren and selfish in front of 30 people. Your sister has been lying to her husband for months, and you've been letting both of them treat me like garbage for 7 years. I never let them. You did, by staying silent, by making excuses, by asking me to keep the peace instead of demanding they show me basic respect. Mason's phone buzzed again. He glanced at it and sighed. Who is it now? I asked. Mom, she wants to have a family meeting tomorrow to discuss the situation. Let me guess. She wants me to apologize and promise to keep quiet about what I know. She wants to find a way to fix this. There's nothing to fix, Mason. Emerson made her choices. Now she has to live with the consequences. What about Tanner? What about the baby? What about them? Tanner deserves to know the truth, and the baby deserves to know who its real father is. And if that destroys what's left of our family? I looked at my husband, this man I'd loved for 7 years, and felt something shift inside me. Your family destroyed itself, Mason. I just stopped pretending it was my job to hold the pieces together. So what happens now? Now you decide. Are you going to that family meeting to help them figure out how to manage this crisis? Or are you going to stay here and figure out how to save our marriage? Brooke, choose, Mason, because I'm done being the understanding wife who swallows her pride for the sake of family harmony. He stared at me for a long moment. The meeting is at 10. Then you better get some sleep. You'll need your energy to help them figure out how to spin this. I stood up and headed for the stairs. Where are you going? He asked. To bed, alone, apparently. Brooke, wait. But I was already gone, leaving him sitting at the kitchen table with his phone and his impossible choice. I woke up to the sound of Mason's shower running. The clock read 9:15 a.m. He was getting ready for his family meeting. I stayed in bed until I heard his car pull out of the driveway. Then I got up, made coffee, and tried to figure out what to do with myself. I'd taken the day off work, knowing I'd be in no state to deal with clients and campaigns. My phone had 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Most were from numbers I didn't recognize, probably friends and family who'd heard about yesterday's drama. I deleted them without reading, but one message caught my attention. It was from Nicole, Naomi's sister. Brooke, can we talk? I think there are things you should know. I stared at the message for a full minute before typing back. What kind of things? Not over text. Can you meet me for coffee? The Starbucks on 5th Street? When? Now, if you can. I threw on jeans and a sweater and drove to the coffee shop. Nicole was already there, sitting in a corner table with 2 cups in front of her. "You came?" she said as I sat down. "You said there were things I should know." Nicole pushed one of the cups toward me. Vanilla latte, I remembered from Christmas. "Nicole, what's going on?" She looked around the coffee shop, then leaned forward. "Naomi's been calling everyone, trying to control the narrative. She's telling people you forged the DNA results out of jealousy." I figured she would, but that's not why I wanted to see you. Nicole paused, seeming to gather her courage. "Brooke, this isn't the first time." "What do you mean?" "Emerson, this isn't her first affair." I set down my coffee cup. "What?" "During her engagement to Tanner, there was another man, a guy from her gym. It lasted about 2 months." "How do you know this?" "Because I saw them together at a restaurant downtown. They were very affectionate." "Did you tell anyone?" Nicole shook her head. "I confronted Emerson about it. She cried, said it was a mistake, begged me not to tell Naomi, said she'd ended it and it would never happen again." "But it did happen again, with Rogelio." "Apparently." Nicole sipped her coffee. "Brooke, I need you to understand something. Naomi knows." "Knows what?" "About the gym guy. I told her last night after everything exploded. I thought she should know that this is a pattern." "What did she say?" "She said it didn't matter, that Emerson was young and made mistakes, but that didn't give you the right to destroy her life." I laughed bitterly. "Of course she did." "There's more." Nicole looked uncomfortable. "She's planning to tell Mason that you've been having an affair." "What?" "She's going to claim that's how you knew about DNA testing, that you've been cheating and got tested yourself." "That's insane. Mason would never believe that." "Are you sure? Because from what I saw at the meeting this morning, he's pretty desperate to find a way to blame you for all of this." My stomach dropped. "You were at the meeting." "Naomi insisted. She wanted the whole family there to present a united front." "And Mason went along with it." "He's there right now. They're crafting a story about how you've been unstable and jealous for months, how you've been obsessed with Emerson's pregnancy." I felt sick. He wouldn't do that to me. "Brooke, honey, he's doing it right now." My phone buzzed. A text from Mason. "Coming home soon. We need to talk." "He's on his way back," I said, showing Nicole the message. "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Confront him, I guess. Ask him if he really believes I'm capable of forging medical documents." "Do you have proof of the DNA test being real?" "I have the lab's contact information, the confirmation number. They keep records." "Good. You might need that." We sat in silence for a moment. Then Nicole reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "For what it's worth, I think you did the right thing. Tanner deserved to know." "Thank you. That means more than you know." "Naomi's not going to let this go. She's going to keep pushing until she finds a way to make you the villain." "She already has. The question is whether Mason's going to let her." I drove home with Nicole's words echoing in my head. Mason's car was in the driveway when I pulled up. I found him in the living room pacing. "We need to talk," he said without preamble. "So I heard. How was the family meeting?" He stopped pacing. "How did you—" "Never mind. Brooke, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me." "Okay. Have you been having an affair?" I stared at him. "Are you serious right now? Just answer the question." "No, Mason, I have not been having an affair. The fact that you even have to ask tells me everything I need to know about where we stand." "Mum thinks. I don't care what your mother thinks. I care what you think. Do you honestly believe I'm capable of cheating on you?" He looked away. "I don't know what to believe anymore. Then let me make it simple for you." I pulled out my phone and scrolled to the lab's contact information. "This is Dr. Martinez at Precision Genetics. Call him, ask him about the DNA test, ask him if I forged anything." "Brooke." "Call him, Mason, right now. Because if you don't trust me enough to take my word for it, then we have bigger problems than your sister's infidelity." He stared at the phone number for a long moment. Then he dialed. "Dr. Martinez, this is Mason Hall. I need to ask you about a DNA test my wife arranged." "Yes, that's right." "No, I understand. Can you confirm the results were accurate?" I watched his face change as he listened to the doctor's response. "I see. And there's no possibility of error?" "Okay, thank you." He hung up and looked at me. "The test is real. Tanner's not the father." "I know. And you didn't forge anything." "I know that too." "Then why did Mum say—" "Because your mother would rather destroy me than admit her precious daughter is a serial cheater." Mason sat down heavily on the couch. "She said you've been acting strange for months, obsessed with Emerson." "And you believed her?" "I didn't know what to believe. Everything's falling apart and I needed someone to blame." "So you chose me." "I chose the easiest target, just like I always do." The admission hung between us like a confession. "At least you're finally being honest," I said. "Brooke, I'm sorry. I know I've been weak. I know I should have defended you." "Should have. Past tense. I want to do better. I want to fix this." "To you, because an hour ago you were in a room full of people planning to destroy my reputation to protect your sisters." "I didn't agree to that. But you didn't stop it either." Mason's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and winced. "Let me guess," I said. "Naomi wants to know if I confess to my imaginary affair." "She wants to know if you're going to apologize to Emerson." "For what? For telling the truth?" "For humiliating her." I stood up and grabbed my keys. "Where are you going?" Mason asked. "To see Emerson. If she wants an apology, she can ask for it herself." The hospital parking garage was nearly empty at 2 in the afternoon. I found Emerson's room on the 3rd floor, maternity ward. Through the small window in the door, I could see her lying in bed, staring at the ceiling. I knocked softly and pushed the door open. "Hey," I said. She turned her head toward me, and I was shocked by how awful she looked. Her face was puffy from crying, her hair was a mess, and her eyes were red-rimmed and hollow. "What are you doing here?" she asked, her voice hoarse. "I heard you wanted to see me." "I wanted you to apologize. There's a difference." I pulled a chair closer to her bed and sat down. "Apologize for what exactly?" "For destroying my life, for humiliating me in front of everyone, for ruining my marriage." "Emerson, I didn't ruin your marriage. You did that all by yourself." She turned away from me. "You don't understand. You've never understood what it's like to be part of this family." "You're right. I don't understand. Explain it to me." "The pressure, the expectations. Mum has this vision of who I'm supposed to be, and I've been trying to live up to it my whole life." "So you cheated on your husband?" "I made mistakes." She turned back to me, tears streaming down her face. "I'm not perfect like you think you are." "I don't think I'm perfect, but I don't lie to the people I love." "Don't you? What about all those times you smiled and nodded when Mom made her little comments? What about pretending you were fine when you clearly weren't?" I was quiet for a moment. "You're right. I did lie. I lied to keep the peace, but I never betrayed Mason." "This is different." "Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you've been lying to everyone for months." Emerson's monitor started beeping faster. A nurse poked her head in. "Everything okay in here?" "We're fine," Emerson said quickly. The nurse looked between us suspiciously, but left. "You need to calm down," I said. "The stress isn't good for the baby." "Don't pretend you care about my baby." "I do care. That's why I did what I did." "You did it for revenge." "Maybe, but that doesn't make it wrong." Emerson was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, "Tanner won't answer my calls." "Can you blame him? I love him. I really do love him." "Then why did you cheat on him? Twice?" She looked startled. "What do you mean twice?" Nicole told me about the guy from the gym during your engagement. Emerson's face went white. She promised she wouldn't tell anyone. She didn't until last night when she told your mother. Oh, God. Emerson covered her face with her hands. This keeps getting worse. It gets worse because you keep lying. Even now you're still lying. I'm not. You told Tanner the affair with Rogelio lasted 6 months. But I saw the texts, Emerson. They go back almost a year. She stared at me. You read my texts. I saw them on your counter when I was dropping off those maternity clothes. Your phone kept buzzing. You had no right. You had no right to lie to your husband about the paternity of your child. I wasn't sure. Bullshit. You knew there was a chance. You knew, and you married him anyway. Emerson started crying again, harder this time. I hoped it would work out, that the baby would be his and everything would be fine. And if it wasn't, were you just going to let him raise another man's child? I don't know. I don't know what I was going to do. Well, now you don't have to figure it out, because Tanner knows the truth. He hates me. He's hurt. There's a difference. Hi, is there? Because he won't even look at me. He had his brother come get his things from the apartment. What did you expect? That he'd just forgive you and pretend nothing happened? I expected my family to support me. Instead, Mum's having a breakdown, Dad won't talk to me, and Mason's caught in the middle. Your family is supporting you. They're trying to make me the villain to protect you. What do you mean? Your mother told Mason I forged the DNA results. She's planning to tell people I've been having an affair. Emerson looked genuinely shocked. She wouldn't do that. She would. She is. I didn't ask her to. You didn't have to. She's doing it because she can't accept that her perfect daughter is capable of this level of deception. I'm not perfect. I never claimed to be perfect. No, but you let everyone believe you were. You let them put you on a pedestal while they tore me down. I never asked them to treat you badly. But you never asked them to stop either. Emerson was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, What do you want from me, Brooke? I want you to tell the truth, all of it, to Tanner, to your family, to Rogelio. Rogelio doesn't know about the baby. He has a right to know. What if he wants custody? What if he wants to be involved? Then you'll have to deal with that, just like you'll have to deal with the consequences of everything else you've done. And if I don't, if I keep quiet, then I'll tell him myself. Emerson stared at me. You would do that. I would, because that baby deserves to know who its father is, and Rogelio deserves to know he has a child. You really hate me, don't you? I don't hate you, Emerson. I pity you. Pity me. You had everything, a husband who adored you, a family who worshipped you, a baby on the way, and you threw it all away for what? A few months of excitement? You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You were bored. You wanted attention. You wanted to feel special. So you cheated, and when that wasn't enough, you cheated again. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like you're a spoiled woman who never learned that actions have consequences. Emerson's monitor started beeping again, faster this time. She pressed the call button. I think you should go, she said. Fine, but think about what I said. The truth is going to come out eventually. The question is whether you want to control how it happens. The nurse came back in as I was leaving. Is she okay? I asked. Her blood pressure's elevated. She needs to rest. I nodded and walked out, leaving Emerson alone with her lies and her choices. In the elevator, my phone buzzed. A text from Mason. Mum collapsed. We're at St. Mary's Emergency. Can you come? I stared at the message for a long moment. Then I typed back, on my way. Because despite everything, despite the years of cruelty and manipulation, she was still my husband's mother. And maybe, just maybe, it was time for all of us to face the truth. St. Mary's emergency was chaos. I found Mason in the waiting room, his head in his hands. Nicole sat beside him, rubbing his back. "How is she?" I asked. Mason looked up, surprised to see me. "They think it was a panic attack. Her blood pressure spiked." "Is she okay?" "They're running tests. She keeps asking for you." "For me?" Nicole nodded. "She wants to talk to you. The doctor said the stress is making everything worse." "What kind of stress?" "The kind that comes from watching your family fall apart," Mason said quietly. A doctor approached us. "Family of Naomi Hall." "That's us," Mason said, standing. "She's stable, but I need to be honest with you. This wasn't just a panic attack. Her blood pressure is dangerously high, and she's showing signs of severe anxiety. Has there been any recent trauma or stress?" Mason and Nicole exchanged glances. "There's been some family drama," Nicole said carefully. "Well, whatever it is, it needs to be resolved. Her body can't handle this level of stress. She's asking to see someone named Brooke." "That's me," I said. "She's insisting she won't calm down until she talks to you. Would you be willing?" I looked at Mason. He nodded. "Room 314, the doctor said. "But please try to keep things calm. Her heart can't take much more." I walked down the hallway, my stomach churning. Naomi was propped up in bed, looking smaller and frailer than I'd ever seen her. Monitors beeped around her, and an IV drip was attached to her arm. "Brooke," she said when she saw me, "you came. Mason said you wanted to see me. Sit down, please." I pulled a chair close to her bed. "How are you feeling?" "Like I'm dying." She tried to laugh, but it came out as a wheeze. "Maybe I am. The doctor says you're going to be fine. You just need to rest." "Rest?" She shook her head. "How can I rest when my family is falling apart?" "Naomi, let me talk, please. I need to say this while I still can." I nodded. "I've been thinking about what you said, about the truth, about consequences." She paused, struggling to catch her breath. "You were right." "About what?" "About Emerson, about all of it." Tears started rolling down her cheeks. "I knew she was cheating on Tanner. Nicole told me about the gym guy, and I told her to keep quiet. I thought if we just ignored it, it would go away." "But it didn't go away." "It got worse. And when you exposed the DNA results, I panicked. I couldn't accept that my daughter was capable of such deception." "So you tried to make me the villain?" "I tried to protect her, the way I've always protected her." She reached for my hand. "But I was wrong. I was so wrong." "Naomi, I called you barren. I called you selfish. I said terrible things about you for years." She was crying harder now. "And you never deserved any of it." "Why? Why did you hate me so much?" "I didn't hate you. I was threatened by you." "Threatened?" "You're everything I never was. Independent, strong. You didn't need anyone to take care of you." She squeezed my hand. "I raised Emerson to be dependent, to need approval, to need me. But you were different, and I resented you for it. I never wanted to take Mason away from you. I know that now, but I was so afraid of losing control, of losing my place in his life, that I made you the enemy." We sat in silence for a moment. Then she said, "There's something else you need to know." "What?" "Rogelio called the house this morning. He knows about the baby." My blood ran cold. "How?" "Someone from the baby shower told him. He's demanding to talk to Emerson." "What did you tell him?" "I told him she was in the hospital. He said he'd wait, but he wants answers." "Good. He deserves them." "Brooke, there's more. Tanner's filing for divorce. He's also talking to a lawyer about the baby." "What kind of lawyer?" "Family law. He wants to make sure Rogelio can't come after him for support if he's not the father." "Smart, is it? Because now we have 3 men involved in this mess and a baby who's going to grow up in the middle of it." "The baby will be fine. Kids are resilient." "Will they? because I keep thinking about all the damage I've done, to you, to Mason, to this family. You can't change the past, Naomi, but you can change what happens next. How? By telling the truth, by apologizing to the people you've hurt, by letting Emerson face the consequences of her actions instead of trying to protect her from them. And if she can't handle it, then she'll learn the way we all have to learn. Naomi closed her eyes. I'm tired, Brooke. I'm so tired of fighting. Then stop fighting. Stop trying to control everything and everyone. Will you forgive me? I looked at this woman who'd made my life hell for 7 years, who'd called me barren and selfish and worthless. She looked so small in that hospital bed, so broken. I'll try, I said finally. That's more than I deserve. Maybe, but it's what I can give you right now. Mason appeared in the doorway. How's she doing? Better, I said, standing up. We talked? Good, because there's something you both need to know. He stepped into the room. Tanner's here. He wants to see Emerson. At the hospital? Naomi asked. He's on his way to her room now, and Rochelio's with him. Oh, God, Naomi whispered. It gets worse, Mason continued. Emerson's doctor called. She's in early labour. The stress triggered contractions. How early? I asked. 34 weeks. The baby should be okay, but it's going to be touch and go. Naomi tried to sit up. I need to be there. No, the nurse said, appearing behind Mason. You need to stay here and rest. Your blood pressure is still too high. But your daughter is in good hands. But if you don't take care of yourself, you won't be any help to anyone. Mason looked at me. Will you come with me to see Emerson? Are you sure you want me there? I'm sure, because whatever happens next, we need to face it together. I nodded. Let's go. As we walked toward the elevator, I could hear shouting from down the hall. Tanner's voice, raised in anger, Rogelio's voice demanding answers, and underneath it all, the sound of Emerson crying. The truth was finally coming out, all of it, and there was nowhere left to hide. The shouting stopped when Mason and I reached Emerson's room. Through the window, I could see Tanner and Rogelio standing on opposite sides of her bed, both looking like they'd rather be anywhere else. Should we go in? Mason asked. She's your sister. He pushed open the door. How's everyone doing? Fantastic, Tanner said sarcastically, just having a lovely chat about paternity and lies. Rogelio turned to us. Are you Mason, Emerson's brother? I am. Then maybe you can explain to me how I'm just finding out I might have a child. Rogelio, please, Emerson said from the bed. The contractions are getting stronger. Good, he snapped, because I want a DNA test the minute that baby is born. We all do, Tanner said quietly. A nurse bustled in. I'm going to need everyone except the father to leave. That's the problem, Tanner said. We don't know who the father is. The nurse looked confused. I'm sorry. It's complicated, Mason said. Can we have a few more minutes? 5 minutes. Then I need this room cleared. She's dilating quickly. After the nurse left, Rogelio turned to Emerson. I need to know, is this baby mine? I don't know, she whispered. You don't know? How can you not know? Because I was sleeping with both of you, she cried. I was sleeping with my husband, and I was sleeping with you, and I don't know whose baby this is. The room went silent, except for the sound of the monitors beeping. Jesus Christ, Emerson, Tanner said. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. I never meant for any of this to happen. But it did happen, Rogelio said, and now there's a baby involved. What do you want? Emerson asked him. If it's yours, what do you want? I want to be a father. I want to be involved. Tanner laughed bitterly. Great, so I get to watch my wife's lover raise the child I thought was mine. Tanner, Emerson reached for him, but he stepped back. No, I'm done. I'm done with the lies. I'm done with the drama. I'm done with all of it. But if the baby is yours, then we'll figure out custody. but I'm not staying married to someone who's been lying to me for over a year. A year? Rogelio looked shocked. You said it was 6 months. I lied about that too, Emerson said, her voice barely audible. Unbelievable, Rogelio muttered. Another contraction hit, and Emerson gripped the bed rails. Oh, God, it hurts. The nurse came back in. That's it. Everyone out except... She looked around the room. Who's staying? I am, Tanner said. Until we know for sure I'm still legally her husband. I want to stay too, Rogelio said. This isn't a spectator sport, the nurse said firmly. One person only. Tanner should stay, Emerson said. Please. Rogelio looked hurt but nodded. I'll be in the waiting room. Mason and I followed him out. The waiting room was fuller now. Nicole, Jarvis, Stacy and Chulio had all arrived. They looked up expectantly when we walked in. How is she? Nicole asked. In labour, Mason said. The baby's coming. And the father situation? Jarvis asked. Still complicated, I said. Rogelio sat down heavily in a chair. This is insane. I had no idea she was married when we started, whatever this was. She told you she was single? Nicole asked. She told me a lot of things, most of them lies, apparently. My phone buzzed. A text from Zariah. Heard through the grapevine that all hell is breaking loose. You okay? I typed back, Emerson's in labour. Both potential fathers are here. It's a mess. Want me to come? No, but thanks. 2 hours later, a doctor emerged from the delivery room. The baby's here, a girl. She's small but healthy. And Emerson? Mason asked. She's fine, exhausted, but fine. Can we see them? Nicole asked. Family only for now, and we'll need to discuss the paternity testing. Tanner appeared in the doorway, looking shell-shocked. She's beautiful, he said quietly. She's so beautiful. Congratulations, Rogelio said, standing up. Don't, not yet, not until we know. How long for the DNA results? I asked the doctor. 48 hours for the rush processing. And until then, Rogelio asked. Until then, we wait, Tanner said. The next 2 days were the longest of my life. Emerson stayed in the hospital with the baby. Tanner came and went, torn between his love for the child he'd thought was his and his anger at his wife. Rogelio hovered in the background, unsure of his place in any of this. Naomi was released from the hospital but stayed quiet, finally understanding that her attempts to control the situation had only made things worse. On the 3rd day, the results came in. We all gathered in Emerson's room, Tanner, Rogelio, Mason, myself and Nicole. The baby slept peacefully in Emerson's arms, oblivious to the drama surrounding her birth. The doctor held the envelope. Are you all ready? Everyone nodded. The biological father is... He paused, looking at the paper. Rogelio Fleming. The room was silent. Rogelio's face went through a dozen emotions: shock, joy, fear, determination. She's mine, he whispered. Yes, the doctor confirmed. Tanner closed his eyes. Okay, that's actually a relief. Is it? Emerson asked, tears streaming down her face. Yeah, because now I can walk away knowing I'm not abandoning my child. Tanner, please. No, Emerson, this is where it ends. I'll always care about you, but I can't do this anymore. He kissed the baby's forehead gently. Be good for your daddy, he whispered. Then he left, and we all knew he wasn't coming back. Rogelio approached the bed slowly. Can I hold her? Emerson nodded, carefully transferring the baby to his arms. The change in his face was immediate, pure, overwhelming love. Hi, sweetheart, he said softly. I'm your daddy. What happens now? Mason asked. Now we figure it out, Rogelio said, not taking his eyes off his daughter. We figure out custody and support and how to co-parent with someone who lied to me for over a year. I know you hate me, Emerson said. I don't hate you, but I don't trust you, and that's going to be a problem. We'll work it out, she said hopefully. We'll try, for her sake. Mason put his arm around me. Ready to go home? I nodded. As we walked out of the hospital, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Peace. You know what's funny? I said as we got in the car. What? Your mother was right about one thing. I am barren. Mason looked confused. What do you mean? I smiled and pulled the pregnancy test out of my purse, the one I'd taken that morning, the one that showed 2 pink lines. I'm barren of patience for lies and manipulation and toxic family dynamics, but apparently I'm not barren of anything else. Mason stared at the test, then at me. You're pregnant? 12 weeks. I wanted to be sure before I told anyone. 12 weeks. But that means I was pregnant during the baby shower, when your mother called me barren. I laughed. The irony is pretty perfect, don't you think? Mason pulled me into his arms. I love you. I'm sorry it took all this chaos for me to remember how to show it. I love you too, but things are going to be different now. Different how? Different as in I'm done being the family punching bag. Different as in our child comes first, before your mother's feelings or your sister's drama. I can live with that. Good, because I'm not the same woman who walked into that baby shower. That woman kept the peace at any cost. This woman? I gestured to myself. This woman fights back. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Too late, but lucky for you, I'm feeling generous. We drove home in comfortable silence, leaving behind the wreckage of lies and the beginning of something honest, something real. It had taken fire to clear the ground, but maybe now something beautiful could finally grow.